Shalom, Saints.
Shalom.
I want to welcome you to the Shabbat of the Most High El, here with the MOC of Christ Ministry. Here we seek to teach all nations and people how to find true salvation according to the Holy Scripture. I'm Raah. This is my reader, Brother MOC. Today we're going to go into part 2 of the Lost Tribes in America, or of America, the Forgotten Souls. The Lost Tribes of America, the Forgotten Souls, part 2. So as always, we have a scripture reading. We open up with a song selection, and then we'll get right to the Bible study lesson. And so get ready, like, share, subscribe, send it to your friends. This will be an impactful lesson for you, and you. So without further ado, let's stand, let's face Jerusalem on number 3. I think that's me. Can you turn it down a little bit on the volume, number 3. Check. And turn 4 down too. All right. After you out.
Praise ye El.
Praise ye El.
Praise ye El Elyon.
Praise ye El Elyon.
Praise El in his sanctuary.
Praise El in his sanctuary.
Praise El in the firmament of his power.
Praise El in the firmament of his power.
Praise El for his mighty acts.
Praise El for his mighty acts.
Praise El according to his excellent greatness.
Praise El according to his excellent greatness.
Praise him with the sound of the trumpet.
Praise him with the sound of the trumpet.
Praise El with the psaltery and harp.
Praise El with the psaltery and harp.
Praise El with the timbrel and dance.
Praise El with the timbrel and dance.
Praise El with the string instruments and organs.
Praise El with the string instruments and organ.
Praise El upon the loud cymbal.
Praise El upon the loud cymbal.
Praise El upon the high sounding cymbal.
Praise El upon the high sounding cymbal.
Let everything that hath breath
Let everything that hath breath
praise El.
praise El.
Praise El Elyon.
Praise El Elyon. Allah El.
Allah
Sisters and brothers, you may be seated. Get your note-taking tools. Get your Bible apps ready as we get ready to go into part 2, the Lost Tribes of America, the Forgotten Souls, right after this song selection from our music ministry, We Need You. Check. Mic check. Check.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, we're going to give the Most High some praise today. Y'all ready?
Allah.
All right, let's get it.
Check.
That's good. That's good on the volume. Great. How many of y'all need the Most High El today? All right, let's tell them in. We need you, El. Come and please save us, El. We don't know what else to do. We're tired now. We're calling you, El. Our people out here dying every day. Lost in this world, just wasting away. No one really cares. Are you really there? Help us now with all the struggle we can't bear. What is this we have to face? Remove us now from this place. You said if we call, you wouldn't let us fall. Please, oh well, take us from it all. We need you, well, come and please save us, well. We don't know what else to do. We're tired now, we're calling you. We are crying out to you, oh well. The enemy is coming soon, oh yeah. How can this be so? We feel left alone. Help us now, well, we can't carry on. Woo! What is this we have to face? Remove us now from this place. You said if we called, you wouldn't let us fall. Please, oh well, take us from it all. What we gonna say? We need you, well, everybody, come in. Please save us, well. We don't know what else to do. We're tired now, we're calling you, crying out to you. Help us heal this land, nothing else to do but follow your commands. We will turn from our wicked ways. Help us please, oh well, we need you today. What is this we have to face? Remove us now from this place. You said if we called, you wouldn't let us fall. Please, oh well, take us from it all. We need you, well, come in. Please save us, well. We don't know what else to do. We're tired now, we're calling you. We need you, well, come in. Please save us, well. We don't know what else to do. We're tired now, we're calling you, crying out to you. Help us heal this land, nothing else to do but follow your commands. We will turn from our wicked ways. Help us please, oh well, we need you today. All praises.
Praise to the Most High, El Elyon, on this glorious Shabbat day.
All praises.
Beautiful Shabbat day.
Oh yes, all praises.
Allah.
Yeah.
Allah El.
So definitely, sisters and brothers, we got to get into this part 2. Lost Tribes of America, Forgotten Souls. I was watching something this week, and it was a lady explaining the first time. Let me start by saying, if you ain't watched part 1, you gotta go watch part 1.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
But back to the intro, it was a sister, right? She was an executive. She was in a board meeting, and she was recounting the time when she first got the memo that the company would be using the terminology to address melanated people from Black to African American. She recalls being in the board meeting when the memo came across the table. Now she's sitting there with all races of people at this board meeting, and she recalls picking up the memo, and they started reading that going forward, the company will address all melanated people or people of color as African American. And she remembered just looking at it, stunned. And as she was looking around the table at the executives, and I don't know how many executives you've been around, but executives in Fortune 500 companies, like in their boardroom, they don't hold many punches.
No.
They cuss like sailors, and they say what they mean, and they mean what they say.
Absolutely.
And so she recalls as she's looking at this memo, she hears her white co-workers saying and whispering, they don't know who they are. So imagine you sitting in a boardroom, and I don't know how many of you been in a lot of meetings, but once you start getting in the manager level and above, it's more like entry level managers is like 50 and there may be one so-called black person, so-called African American. It's the ratio is kind of like 1 to 50, then as you keep going up, the managers shrink, so it'll be like 14 to 1. And then as you get to the upper boardroom, it might not be none of us.
No.
Unless it's an all melanated business. But when you're in Fortune 500, the numbers are very disparaging. That you would see somebody that looks like us in a boardroom. So imagine being at a boardroom table and you're the only one there, and then you get a memo saying, going forward, people that look like you are now going to be called African American. So it goes back to Lost Tribes of America Part 1, the misnomer, being called by two continents, not ever being designated to one.
Come on now.
So it brings on Part 2, Lost Tribes of America, Forgotten Souls.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Because if we are African American and we from Africa, it looks like Africans forgot about us
Right.
and have no history of us even being over there.
Right.
And in America, the American or the native Indian doesn't look like us.
I don't know.
So where do we come from?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any history of us in Africa, even though we try to have our Pan-African and Back to Africa movement. We're going back to slave ports, but there really is no documented history within tribes of a mass migration to the Americas. When you get in America, the so-called natives of America don't have me and my wife said this morning, the 5 civilized
There
tribes,
you go.
Yeah,
Come on now.
the recognized tribes, right, we said last week, they don't have a record of anybody looking like us,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though I know my friends from Oklahoma that's on those reservations look like me.
Exactly.
The world don't know, but there's always been this battle of what is truly a Native American and what did the Americans look like when the Europeans came. And we got account after account of a Mongolian Asian looking Indian
Mm-hmm.
and an Indian that looked Ethiopian, knowing that Africa used to be called Ethiopia.
That's right.
They're saying the people that they found in America, it was 2 types.
Two times.
It was a thick curly hair type,
That's right.
and then there was a brighter, strong-haired Asiatic
face,
type,
yeah.
angular face type.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get into boardroom meetings, or when you're just walking around in your daily life to the people that was heckling last week,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
we're not trying to claim nothing more than what we are.
That's
That's
right.
right.
So for the angular face Indians, you do know that there were people in America before you.
See?
Mhm.
Right. Come on
And
now.
your history is you migrated from the Bering Straits.
Come on now.
Right. Right.
So if there were Africans here before you, they didn't come through the Bering Straits, they probably came across the Atlantic to the Americas.
That's
Come on
right.
now.
Make it plain.
You understand what I'm saying? You got 2 types of people when they came, and they were saying these people are Americans, these people are Taino, these people are Arawak, these people are Carib or whatever, right? And they're trying to relate them to what it looks like over in Africa.
Right.
But then when you go and you look at archaeology, Then there were people here building megaliths, building pyramids,
Right.
and building civilizations before the angular face people came.
Right.
The Huns, the Mongolian looking face. I'm just using historical terms.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
So nobody is trying to be who the Europeans are saying are Native Americans
Make it
today.
plain.
Because the Europeans are saying they're Americans, and we know that ain't true
That's right.
At all.
by definition.
By definition.
Because if you look at the 1828 definition, it's a copper colored
Mhm.
indigenous people.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Now relating to Europeans who came over.
Right.
Y'all follow me?
Follow.
So when you get in a boardroom and you're looking at Europeans, and you're looking at all these different misnomers and names that Europeans have given people.
Right.
Mind you, Europeans have given people.
Right.
I want you to think about how many of the native people that were here who were killed and extinguished are forgotten souls.
That's good.
You think that 5 civilized tribe was it? So through critical race theory, they'll eventually wipe out all that knowledge of the 5 civilized tribes, or even before that, the Iroquois League.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Y'all don't even know about the Iroquois League of the Confederacy and who taught the Europeans about confederacies, right? You do know the Civil War was between who? A union and a confederacy.
Uh-huh.
A union or United States and a confederacy. You know the Confederate Army was the army of the Union.
Just come on now. Tell the truth.
The Union was just 13 states.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Where do you think they got their army from?
Better stay.
So it's a whole bunch of people don't know. They just take the explanation given to them in a book by a boardroom of people who don't look like us,
Right.
who agree that this is the curriculum that we want these people to know.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you start thinking, and you start hearing people walk around saying, hey, stop thinking about the past. I wasn't there. Y'all need to think about the future and not the past. And then you hear somebody saying, they don't know who they are. Right, yes. So then somebody's lost.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's lost here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was cleaning up this morning, getting ready for the Shabbat, and I was like, why, as Hebrew Israelites, is so much weight put on the lost tribes of Israel
Mm-hmm.
when there's clearly more lost people in America
Come on now.
and even the world than just those lost tribes?
Come on now. That's right.
It's so much emphasis put on those 10 tribes because of this Biblos.
Right?
But you remember this Biblos wasn't originated in America.
No,
That's right.
Not at all.
I said a whole lot in the intro. Now let's unpack. Let's unpack all this. Now that I said all that. Remember the lady at the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what we understand when you hear the word lost, everybody's like, the lost 10 tribes. But if the Europeans found tribes when they was here, where are they at?
Come on now.
Mhm.
Come on.
And who are all these people that they made sign roles to be in the 5 civilized tribes, but what about all the tribes that were their own tribe?
Come on now.
You understand what I'm saying? They're trying to say they're a subset of the 5, but I'm saying there were hundreds before it was 5. We're talking about from the Mississippi to the Atlantic.
Yeah.
What happened to all of those people?
Uh-huh.
What if they didn't want to go to the Trail of Tears?
Right.
What happened to them?
Enslaved.
That's a good question, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So let's start from the beginning. Let's see if we can get this remote to work. I hope that intro makes sense. Let's go to Genesis chapter 2. I got called all kind of things last week. False prophet. I don't think I was prophesying anything. I was just reading history.
Come on now. Make it plain.
I was reading stats. I was reading history.
See?
Don't we say our mission is to teach those that are seeking true salvation from the Bible, from history and the lost books?
That's right.
Hey, how about this in the intro for all the hecklers? Did Did you know that there was lost scriptures?
That's
They
good.
don't know.
They don't know.
They don't
There's a
know.
book called Lost Tribes and the Promised Land. We're gonna read from that today, see what we can find out.
They don't know.
They don't know, not trying.
We got books called Black Indians. There's two types of Indians that was found here in America. Nobody is trying to hijack any, wait a minute, there is a people that are trying to hijack cultures and people's nationality and ethnicity.
Yep.
But that ain't what we trying to do at the MOC.
No.
We're trying to provide information so people can find out who they are, so that you're not sitting at a boardroom getting talked about because you don't even know who or what you are. Con? So let's start in the beginning, right? Genesis 2:6. Go ahead.
But there went up a mist from the earth
Uh-huh.
and watered the whole face of the ground.
Uh-huh.
And Elion formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
Okay, how did he become a living soul? So he took some dirt,
Mm-hmm.
he took some mist,
Mm-hmm.
he created this body, which when you die, it decays and becomes what? Dirt,
Dirt.
right? Unless you're preserving it like the Egyptians, right? But most times, you get put in dirt and you go back to the dust of the ground. But you're not a living soul without the breath given to you from the Most High.
That's right.
That's right.
That's how you are a living soul. You got dead souls,
Mm-hmm.
and you got living souls. And I'm not talking spiritually. I'm not trying to get all spiritual with you. I'm talking about all this terra firma, this earth. You are not a living soul without the breath of life, right? People are in comas, people are in hospitals on breathing machines. They're not conscious, the body's there, but the breath of life is not operating on your own, right? That's kind of what that vid did, right? It had people not able to functionally breathe on their own.
That's right.
Right.
The
Yeah.
breath of life was being squeezed out of them, right? So when you talk about forgotten souls, we're talking about mankind
Mm-hmm.
that had the breath of life in them,
Mm-hmm.
and they walking around talking whatever language, ethnicity, color, whatever. Mankind.
Mankind.
Y'all got that?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that was 6 and 7?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move on. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 20. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 20. Go ahead when you get it out.
Which sometime were disobedient, when once the long suffering of El waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was a preparing, wherein few, that is, 8 souls, were saved by water.
All right, so we know that inside the ark was 7 of every clean animal,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
2 of every unclean animal was on the ark.
That's right.
We're talking about the flood that is recorded in many ethnicities that happen on this earth.
Yes.
The deluge, right?
Right.
7 of every clean, 2 of every unclean, but it was how many souls? 8 souls that survived with those animals.
Correct.
So to be a soul, you had to have been made from the earth, the mist, and you had to have the breath given to you by the Most High,
That's right.
right?
Yes, sir.
A man, Adam, right? Keep going. Oh, that was it right there, right?
Yes, sir.
Saved by the water, right? So where was the rest of the souls? Dead. Like the giants, the petrified bodies that they're finding, right? Mountains, islands, cliffs shaped like animals and people, whatever other being it was, they didn't make it past the flood.
Perish.
Not these souls, not the type of soul that we are.
Correct.
Huh? All right, let's keep going. So now we passed the flood, right? We're in the beginning. Now we're passing the flood. Only 8 survived the flood, right?
Yes,
All
sir.
those animals, 2 of every unclean, 7 of every clean. and the 8 souls. Noah, his 3 sons, and they all had wives.
That's right.
Let's go to Genesis 46. Just a quick history lesson. We're going to walk through the Bible so we understand when we get to souls, what you got to be a soul, and what soul specifically are we talking about here at the MOC, right?
Yes, sir.
Genesis chapter 46, starting verse 26. Go ahead.
All the souls that came with Jacob into Egypt, which came out of his loins.
Wait a minute, where they come from?
His loins.
These ain't spiritual Jacobites.
Nope.
These are literally the seed that Jacob had with Leah, Rachel, and their handmaid.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Besides Jacob's sons, wives, all the souls were 66.
3 score. A score is 20.
66.
So 3 is 20. Score is 20. 3 scores is 60, and 6.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
Go ahead, verse 27. So this is coming, Slocky. This is coming into the Egyptian captivity, right? There was 66 souls.
Yes, sir.
Because the other souls was already there. Joseph and his children. Let's read it. Go ahead.
And the sons of Joseph, which were born him in Egypt, were 2 souls. All the souls of the house of Jacob, which came into Egypt, were 70.
So score is 20. 3 score and 10, 70. 70 souls came in running from the famine in Canaan.
That's right.
Right? These are living, breathing beings. Souls. The souls that are according to the Most High.
Right.
There's many people upon the earth at this time. But this Biblos we got is very specific of the souls that it's talking about. So from the beginning, right? From the flood, only 8. Now, these 70. And if these 70 don't come into Egypt, this lineage of Abraham is done. It's perished, right? So these 70 come in, right? And let's see how many it is when they leave. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12. And let's pick it up at verse 37. Exodus 12 and 37. So now 70 came in. They're in Egypt 400 some odd years, right? Until that great Passover day that the Most High breaks the bondage off of them and they flee Egypt. Let's see how the 70 souls out of the whole world that matter, let's see how many it is when they leave. Go ahead, verse 37.
And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, and about 600,000 on foot that were men beside children.
600,000. When we read the other scripture, it said these souls came out of Jacob's loins.
Yes, sir.
So the 70 that came in left 600,000. That's some growth.
Yeah.
That's a certain people during bondage and during hard times that was still able to have children and grow.
Yes, sir.
Despite being
In
in captivity.
Yes, sir.
600,000 on foot.
Besides children.
Not counting children, not counting women.
Yeah. That's just the men.
Well, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Let's keep going. Let's go to Hosea chapter 4. Hosea chapter 4 and 6. So we go through all the history. So these 600,000 is in the wilderness, and they getting these commandments. These children of Israel, are getting commandments. Right? These commandments are the guiding principles for them to live a righteous life. Them, their children, and their children's children. Okay, so let's read Hosea 4:6. Go ahead.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Who would be the Most High's people?
The ones that come out of there.
These same souls that got the commandments in the wilderness. Did all these souls make it out of the wilderness?
No.
They did. Some was swallowed up by the earth. Some was bitten by snakes.
Yeah, buddy.
Some was killed by the Levites.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like everybody doesn't make it out of the wilderness. But the knowledge would have been of the law, statutes, and commandments.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a basic understanding of law, statutes, and commandments, he say you lack knowledge.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge.
Oh. So if you don't have knowledge in a thing, it's because you reject it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is a white man Bible. Okay.
Okay.
Why didn't you still read Dr. Seuss book?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
You still read all them books they have for you in K through 12.
Yeah.
And if you went to college, you read all of them books, some Bursar books, all them books about Greco-Roman. I think that's the right word, right?
Yeah.
And Greco-Roman study, you read all of that. That's why you want to travel to Greece and Italy and Rome. Why? They program Europe into your mind. It doesn't make sense why you would go visit a place the Europeans don't even want to be.
Come on, man. They now.
You're going to look at ruins.
Right.
They're traveling to paradise.
Right.
Right.
We traveling to ruins.
Come on, man.
That's good.
We want to see the Eiffel Tower. They want to see the Amazon River.
Right.
They want to see the pyramids. You know what I'm saying? And we want to go see the Roman Colosseum.
Yeah.
And we got all these stadiums here in America.
Right.
Doesn't make sense. But if you reprogram those that are lost, they do lost activities.
Yeah.
When I see social media, I just see a whole bunch of lost people doing a whole bunch of lost activities, thinking they really doing something, traveling to places that Europeans and people like that don't even want to be.
They go.
They don't even want to be in them places. The Asians got beautiful places in China, and the Indians got beautiful places. We got beautiful places here in America. They just don't tell you about them. And a lot of them are on reserves blocked off.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? They be in Niagara Falls. They let you see the Grand Canyon from afar, but you can't go in there. Who really wants to go into the Florida swamps? Nobody. Nobody. You might go in, but you're going to limp out. If you come out. But the beautiful places that you have where you don't have those dangerous elements, our people don't even want to go.
No.
They don't even want to go where the people that greet you look like you.
Mm-hmm. They want to go to Dubai.
But our people lack knowledge because they rejected knowledge. Go ahead. And because they rejected knowledge, go ahead.
I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of El Elyon.
So there's a people that received knowledge, and they should have been the teachers to bring the whole world into righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of bringing the world into righteousness, they wanted to go and play with the world.
That's right.
Be like the world, dress like the world, hang with the world, to receive the rewards that the world gives themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got lost scriptures.
Right.
You got a lost tribe.
Right.
You got a whole bunch of lack of knowledge all over the world.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I will also forgive thy children.
Wait a minute. When he gave us the knowledge, your children will be blessed if you pass it on, and they pass it on, and they pass it on.
Mm-hmm.
But even today, as we try to figure out how to fix things, nobody wants to go back and get the knowledge from Ed.
Right.
Everyone wants to have their own interpretation of the knowledge they want, which the world will accept, instead of the true knowledge of El, which the world rejects.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? It's not that hard to tell the difference. right?
Right.
There's a religion and there's dogma which don't line up with scripture.
Mhm.
It allows a whole bunch of wicked things that don't really prosper his people.
Mhm.
But because this sanctified, these people that were chosen rejected, now he's rejected their children. And now you're not in a position to teach anybody.
Mhm.
Is that the end of that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So he gave them knowledge, they rejected, and now their children rejected, and now the Most High feels rejected. And when he feels rejected, people start getting punished.
Mhm.
Or bad things just happen to them. We're looking at it as punishment, but it don't have to be upon us.
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
Now you got all these lost people, and people are becoming lost
Mhm.
because the priests aren't teaching. And their people aren't submitting to the knowledge of the priest. So if you lose the priest, you lose the teaching, you lose the knowledge, now the whole world is upside down. Right? Let's keep going. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 9. Genesis chapter 9. So now, rejecting. Now everybody's talking about who's lost, who needs to be found. But nobody's worried about the Negro or the black, because these are names that held no weight. Black mean what? Dusty, wicked, malicious,
Unlucky.
unlucky. Who the heck wants to be called black?
Wicked.
And it's just like turning the word nigger and making it a word of endearment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they did with the word black.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
When you can look at the definition of the word and say, how you make this word good?
Right.
Because you want to?
No.
That's an unlearned people.
Yes.
We're going to take something and we're going to make it good. No. It's bad. It's always going to be bad.
Yes.
Especially when your kids grow up and say, man, why am I got this shirt? Black Lives Matter. I'm black and I'm proud. Why are they saying that when the definition of the word is so horrible?
Mhm.
Why would I check that on my applications? Hey, let me become an executive in a boardroom and let's change these applications. Hey, we $1 billion company. Instead of calling people by these misnomers, why don't we just spend the money, help these people find out who they are?
Right.
Mhm.
Why is that? All the billionaires we got, ain't nobody trying to find out, or do they already know who we really are?
They know.
It's the secrets of a secret society, not telling the so-called Negro, black, colored man who he is. I mean, what other secret is there of any relevance?
Right.
It's historically lost people. These historically lost tribes of people. You put two and two together, you start making sense, but not if the powers that be don't want it to make sense. Genesis chapter 9, verse 1. Go ahead.
And El blessed Noah
Uh-huh.
and his sons,
Uh-huh.
and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply.
Have a whole bunch of children. Now these 8 souls
Uh-huh.
that I guess the world is in agreement. There was no other souls on earth after the deluge, but these 8 souls. Huh?
Come.
We started from the beginning, you know, the soul gotta have the breath of life. We're talking about humans, we're talking about the only ones. Everyone else would have drowned. Go ahead.
And multiply and replenish the earth.
Okay, so to replenish the earth, it had to be a whole bunch of deplenishing,
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
right? So it had to be a whole bunch of souls being deleted in order to have a need to replenish it with obedient, righteous people.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? That was the goal, right? Drop down to verse 18. Go ahead.
And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem
Uh-huh.
and Ham and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the 3 sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth Overspread.
All right. So at the Multitude of Christ Ministry, we hold to the script, right?
That's right.
We was in Christianity, we hold to this canonized biblos. The Catholics hold to this canonized biblos. The Hebrew Israelites, the Jehovah's Witnesses, everybody has this biblos in their church on Sunday, right? Even the Nation of Islam holds to this biblos.
Right.
Farrakhan to be on stage, and they have a whole bunch of Baptist, Kojic pastors with him on stage. Every scholar and religious person holds true to this biblos and this story of the deluge that all mankind was deleted except these 8 souls.
That's right.
Y'all hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So did we read all the way? And so from these 3 sons, the whole earth overspread with what?
People.
He said, be fruitful and multiply souls over the whole earth. Chapter 10. Start at verse 1. Go ahead.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood.
There we go. Sons born after the flood. Drop down to verse 20.
These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations.
So from verse 6 to verse 20, that's where you see all the sons of Ham and their sons, right? Drop down to verse 31.
These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations.
This is where you get these nations. So from Genesis 10 and 21 to 31, you get all the sons of Shem. So you got Japheth, Shem, and Ham all lined up here in chapter 10. But you see, I'm only pointing out really Shem and Ham, right? Because this is what we're having an issue with here in Scripture. So no one's really looking at Japheth in the biblical stories at all, right?
Right.
What verse 32 say?
These are the families of the sons of Noah after their generations, in their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood.
Wait a minute. So all the nations that people know about, all the souls, all these children broke down and had nations of people upon the earth.
Yes, sir.
After the flood.
After the flood.
All right. So when you look at this Zondervan definition, I want everybody to pause and tell me what the problem is when you start thinking about forgotten souls, right? Read this, what it say. Read this definition of Ham in any Bible dictionary. Particularly this one came from the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Y'all tell me after what we just read in our intro scriptures, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with this definition? Go ahead.
Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood.
One of those 8 souls, right? We see it in the scripture. Now we're in the Bible dictionary. Go ahead.
He became the progenitor of the dark races.
Progenitor, right? Hold this section right here. Let's see. Did I give a definition? All right. Progenitor. What is a progenitor?
Progenitor, a person or thing from which a person, animal, or plant is descended or originates an ancestor or parent.
Okay. The originator. The original parent.
Yes, sir.
So he is the progenitor of the dark races. What they call us?
Dark.
What they call me?
Dark.
I'm either colored, I'm either a Negro,
Black.
I'm either African American, or I'm black.
Yeah.
Me and you.
Me and you, us.
We dark race. I ain't never been African in my life. So Ham, there's only 3 sons
Right?
that populated the whole earth.
Break it down.
Japheth, Shem, and Ham. Ham had the dark races. So the inference is that the other 2 races aren't dark.
That's good.
Is that implied or is that fact?
Implied.
Okay, so let's look. Let's keep going. So he was a progenitor of the dark races, but what?
Not the Negroes.
What they call me and you?
Negro,
Me and you are dark.
dark,
Me and you are Negro.
Negro,
But Ham is not our foreparent.
no.
The Europeans came with this canonized Biblos
Yes, sir.
from the Roman Catholic Church.
Yes, sir.
A European wrote the Zondervan Bible Dictionary.
Yes, sir.
Last week they was calling me all kind of names
Mm-hmm.
in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking truth and fact. They want us all to be good slave Christians.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we're able to read, 2 and 2 ain't equaling 4.
Nope.
Because Ham, written by a European, is the foreparent, because there's only 3 sons after the flood.
That's right.
They don't tell you what Shem looked like.
Nope.
Not at all.
They didn't tell you what Japheth looked like.
Nope.
But they made darn well sure to tell you that Ham had Canaan and a whole bunch of dark races of people,
Except one.
but not the Negro.
Mm-hmm.
So where does the Negro come from if not Japheth, if not Shem, and not Ham? Go ahead, Art.
But the Egyptians,
Ham is a progenitor of the Egyptians, great kingdom, great dynasties, great histories, pyramids, artifacts, hieroglyphs, right? Everybody that's colored really wants to be an Egyptian. Just look at all the rappers. They all got all-seeing eyes on them. They all got ankhs around their neck, ankhs around their ring. With girls got tattoos of ankhs or all-seeing eyes.
Mm-hmm.
What's the secret? What do we know that our musicians and our artists who don't even barely graduate high school, what do they know about ankhs and all-seeing eyes, and who is turning them on to this information? That instead of putting a menorah on them, instead of putting a dove or a fish like the Christians, that all of our rappers, if they ain't wearing a cross, they wearing an ankh, and most of them got tattoos of all-seeing eyes and Egyptian designs on their body. Everybody wants to be an Egyptian because they say they actually have writings, hieroglyphs, and history.
Mm-hmm.
But they're descendant of Ham.
Mm-hmm.
The Ethiopians were never defeated. I don't even know if y'all understand the history of Ethiopia, but you got to understand what we call Africa today. The whole continent used to be called Ethiopia.
That's right.
But when we get to that little bitty strip of land near Eritrea, over near the what's that called? The Suez Canal, and that little bit of Ethiopia right there. Hey, that Ethiopia, they're saying the Italians couldn't defeat them.
Mm.
But they mainly became Christians and Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
But them is descendants of Ham. So everybody wants to be an Ethiopian, huh? Rastafari, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to come Haile Selassie, Ethiopia. But you don't see a lot of colored people want to be Libya, except when Gaddafi was trying to tell colored people from America, come here. And you can live here for free. You can come here and live for king. They killed Gaddafi.
Mm-hmm.
But in biblical history, do you see a lot of colored people want to be Canaanites?
No.
What religion is that? The Mormons or the Jehovah's Witnesses? The curse of Canaan?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to be a Canaanite.
No.
Nobody talks about being a Libyan, but everybody wants to be an Ethiopian, and everybody wants to be an Egyptian. But Negroes are none of those. So where does the Negro come from? It looks to me like the Negro is lost in biblical definition.
Absolutely.
If the 8 souls that came on over the flood were the only souls,
Mm-hmm.
and the Negro don't come from them, where did the Negro come from? Or was the flood just in the Mediterranean area and it don't have anything to do with America?
This ain't the world, huh?
They do say they populated the world.
Yeah, the whole world.
So who these Negroes and why they not connected to him? Did you finish all that?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
But the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites,
Uh-huh.
you can find in Genesis 10, 6-20.
Uh-huh.
His enmity, when his father lay drunken, brought a curse upon Canaan.
So they made it, because of the Bible, they made an inference in the dictionary to definitely mention the curse of Canaan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Negroes ain't got nothing to do with none of that, right?
None of that.
So if I'm a Negro and you a Negro and we dark, where we come from? Did Noah have another son? Progenitor. We don't come from Ham.
Mm-hmm.
That only leaves Shem and Japheth.
Yeah.
When we go to Shem and Japheth, Shem goes to the east,
Mm-hmm.
and Japheth goes to the North Mediterranean.
Mm-hmm.
So where are the Negroes lost at? So let's look at the definition of Negro. Negro as a noun.
Yes, sir.
Person, place, and thing. Noun, right? Okay. Negro. Go ahead.
So from the 1550s, this is a member of a black-skinned race of Africa.
Wait a minute. The dark-skinned races, according to the Bible dictionary, all come from Ham. Wait a minute. Not all come from Ham. Wait a minute. So Africa was above the Sierra Desert.
Mm-hmm.
The original Africans we read were white Europeans
That's right.
or white Mediterranean
Mm-hmm.
Europeans. So the first Africans were white according to their definition.
Yes.
So Ethiopia, Libya, Egypt, and Put,
Mm-hmm.
these are mainly above the Sahara Desert.
Yes.
So now it's saying the Negroes in 1550 are a member of the black skinned races from Africa. I am confused. Africa is a continent
Mm-hmm.
with over 50 something countries.
Yes.
All those countries are unique and separate today.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But it says the word Negro, go ahead,
From Spanish or Portuguese, Negro, black, from
Wait.
Latin, Negrum, nominative, nigger.
So Negro is Spanish and Portuguese.
Right.
So what is the Spanish and Portuguese's role between so-called Africa and so-called America? What role did Spanish and Portuguese play? Well, history is trying to tell us that they brought millions of black slaves to America,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't make sense when America is already populated with dark races of people.
Come on, now.
Make it plain.
Make it plain, man.
But they want to say the Negro, who ain't part of Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Right.
Listen what I'm saying. He's a dark African race of people, but he's not from Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The word Negro was given to a dark race of people by the Spanish and the Portuguese. Are y'all following me?
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep going, because there be people that watch us that's confused and they think we're trying to hijack something. All right, so the Negro is a dark-skinned person, supposedly from Africa, but they do not descend from Ham. I want y'all to put that in y'all notes.
Wow.
Y'all do your own research. Something ain't right. Something ain't adding up. This ain't that ain't this.
At all.
We got a whole bunch of definitions, but something just ain't right.
That's
You
right.
like that? You like that? Something. Lucky we didn't start singing right there. We normally do. But my man's probably asleep. Okay. Let's keep going. Can't do it without my background. All right. All right, let's keep going. 1 second. Swipe. There we go. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 11. Should already be there. Genesis chapter 11. All right, let's read verse 9. All right. So we find out what a soul is. 8 souls survived the flood. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. But Ham, out of all 3, is supposed to have populated the dark races of people. But not the Negro. So now we got Negroes, but they're not related to Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the only souls that was multiplying the earth. So now let's follow the Bible's logic. Let's go to Genesis 11, verse 9. Go ahead.
There is the name of it called Babel, because El did there confounded the language of all the earth.
So there's a whole bunch of souls that started to multiply from Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? From all those nations in Genesis chapter 10. They was all together in one place, in one language, right? And it said the Most High, El, came and confused everybody's language, right? Go ahead.
And from thence did El scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
So he scattered them throughout all the earth. Now follow my logic here. Let's understand something that you might not know. Let's look at this diagram here, right? So we're looking at the world 250 millennia ago, right? We're looking at what some call Pangea. Or let's think about at one time, all the continents do look like, according to the map they show us, they can come together like a puzzle, right? So let's look at this timeline, 250 years, 200 years. Uh-oh, we got some split here, right? You see, America is separating from Africa and Europe, right? Now let's look at 150 years ago. Now we're starting to see it spread even further. Okay, let's see what it looked like 100 years ago. All right, even more separation. All right, 50 million years ago, I'm assuming. Now we're spreading even further. And then now, this is what they show us Earth and the globe looks like today. So read that again. So at one point, all the children of Shem, Ham, and Japheth was in one place. Then he did what? Go ahead.
So there is the name of it called Babel.
There was a city somewhere now we're saying is in the Middle East, right? Or Middle East, right? That Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the only souls alive, were multiplying. They were spread across the whole earth, but assuming the whole earth at one time was together or the waters to cross were not that far, right? So we speak in this language, he's speaking another language, everybody speaking their own language went their own way. Go ahead.
Because El did there confound the language.
He separated all the languages, go ahead.
Of all the earth. And from thence did El scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. So
the earth was at one point together, so imagine the continents as they teach you as a whole, right? And then over time, through continental drifts and earthquakes, the earth or the landmass of earth eventually spread apart. Does that make sense? Now and back then. This is how you can get people on the four corners or every part of the earth. Does that make sense? I don't know if y'all can see that online, but just get a map of Pangea and then pull up a map now and look at it, right? They're not going to teach this to you in history in college either. Not in your doctorates and master's degree. So I'm going to keep this slide up and I want you to read the next slide. Go ahead. Yeah, okay. Go ahead. Read.
The North American and Eurasian tectonic plates, for example, are separated by the mid-Atlantic ridge.
Wait a minute. So we have tectonic plates not only in California on the Pacific, but they're not telling you that there's a tectonic plate running right between Brazil and Africa, North America and Europe. It's called the what?
It's called the Mid-Atlantic Ridge.
The Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Put that in your notes. Look it up. There's a Mid-Atlantic ridge, go ahead.
The two continents are moving away from each other.
What two continents? America and Africa and Eurasia.
Yeah.
They're moving. And we're not talking about the West Coast moving away from the what? East Coast of Asia.
Right.
Is that right? Yeah. We're not talking about Asia moving away from California and Mexico. We're talking about the earth was together and is moving away through in the Atlantic from the Americas, Florida, Mexico, the Caribbean islands is separating from Africa and Europe. Y'all following me?
Following.
And it's called the what?
Mid-Atlantic Ridge.
The Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Go ahead.
At about a rate of about 2.5 centimeters, which is 1 inch per year.
So 1 inch per year, the scientists are saying it's still moving away
To this day.
to this day. Now, I'm assuming that if it continues to move, let's go back. Oh, here we go. I was already there. All praise. Let's go. Whoa. Let's go back to this map. So I'm going to assume that if it continues to separate and we're a globe and we're a round globe, I would assume if it keeps moving at an inch a year, it'll eventually run back into the west coast of America.
Say it again.
It will eventually run back into, if we're a globe, it will run back into the west coast of the continent of North and South America.
Yeah. Come on,
If
Raah.
it keeps separating, it will eventually collide again if it's a globe.
If it's a globe.
But if it's a flat plane separating, it's just continuing to move and
That's
separate.
right. Come on now.
But if it's a globe, whether it's tilted on its axis, it will eventually run back into itself. I'm not the brightest cookie, but
Hey, I guess
I'm
I
just-
ain't either.
I'm just saying. All right, keep reading now.
All right, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge is in effect an immensely long mountain chain extending for about 10,000 miles, which is 1,600 kilometers, in a curving path from the Arctic Ocean to near the southern tip of Africa.
Look at this.
Oh, wow.
There is a mountain, there is a ridge of mountains underwater between North and South America, Africa and Europe, and it runs from the tip of Africa all the way to Iceland.
Wow.
Did y'all know this?
No, never.
And every year
It's moving, separating.
it's separating North and South America from Europe and Africa.
Come on, man.
Wow.
That's a big mountain.
At one point, they were together.
Yes.
Earthquakes,
Mhm.
tectonic plate shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's separating. So imagine a people here in Babylon, but Babylon would have been just the east.
Right.
It wouldn't have even been the far east.
Right.
But compared to North and South America, it would have been east. But the people scattered which way?
That one.
They would have to go west.
That's right.
Yeah.
They want you to believe they went through the Bering Straits back over Russia and China.
No.
Don't make sense.
But Pangea, the split is coming through the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. It's the separation. Go ahead, Raah.
The ridge is equidistant between the continents of either side of the other.
It's equidistant, meaning it's equally between Africa and Europe and North and South America.
Won't he do it?
I didn't write it, I'm just reading it to you.
Won't he
You
do it?
look it up yourself, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, what is it and why is it important? It's the reason why ships just can't come across.
Come
You
on,
gotta
man.
go around these mountains, because
Mhm.
underneath it would do what? Destroy
Yeah.
ships.
Come on now.
Just imagine a mountain underwater causing currents that you just can't, you ain't just gonna go over a mountain,
No.
even if it's underwater.
Come on.
You gotta go around
Makes sense.
the mountain, meaning this is why Europeans haven't just come straight to North America.
Mhm.
They gotta go through the triangle.
Be coming around the mountain, man.
You gotta find your passages through the Mid-Atlantic Ridge.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Raah.
The mountains forming the ridge reach a width of 1,000 miles. These mountains sometimes reach above sea level.
Sometimes these mountains are popping up above sea level.
Ooh. Wow.
Boat crashes,
Yeah.
trying to come across,
Mm-hmm.
sinking ships, running into what? A mountain range
Wow.
underwater. Go ahead.
Thus, forming the islands or island groups of Azeros, Ascension, St. Helena, and Tristan da Cunha, among others.
They naming the pieces of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge that's above water. Tristan da Cunha, right? What's another one?
St. Helena?
St. Helena. I don't know, St. Helena. Sound like something's gonna be up that way.
Azeros, right
There's
there.
arrows. Let me just follow the line, see if we can find St. Helena. St.
Ascension.
Helena, right here.
St. Helena.
These little islands are
And,
part of it.
Ascension.
Wow.
Ascension. Look up more.
Zora, St. Helen, Tristan da Cunha, and what's the other one?
Ascension. There it is, right here.
Ascension. Look at all these, they're part of an underwater
Wow.
mountain range,
That's crazy.
right? Go ahead.
What's another page?
No, that's it right there on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep going. So you just read all of that, all right. So now we're starting to see that Pangea, they know was real.
Mhm.
And the thing that is continuing to separate North and South America from Africa and Europe is this Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Let's find out more about it. Go to the next slide. All right. Go ahead.
I didn't get that. Let me see. Okay. Apart from seafloor spreading, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge is also the site of volcanic activity.
So we got volcanic activity along this ridge, which are the tectonic plates, which cause earthquakes, steadily separating and dividing, creating new landmass with lava, separating these continents. But if at one time they were together, people could easily just walk or take little canoe trips, right? But the further you get apart, you got more currents going on. You just can't cross over because the bows of ships are hitting the tops of what? Underwater mountains. Go ahead.
Earthquakes also along some portions of its length.
Underwater earthquakes. No different than on the California side,
Yeah.
right? Go ahead.
That was it.
That was it on that one?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see. Go to the next slide. All right. So we're good on that one. So the Negro has been lost and forgotten or removed from biblical history. Now we can see that something ain't right.
Yes, ain't right.
Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 50. So the earth mass was together. Now we see through the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, the two big masses of continents have separated. So if Shem, Ham, and Japheth were the progenitors of all nations of people, why are we not connecting the Negro, the black, the colored, the African American to any of those three?
Wow.
Jeremiah 50, verse 6. Jeremiah 50th chapter, verse 6. Go ahead. Let me get it.
My people have been lost sheep.
What? Wait a minute. The same people that were given the commandments.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to reject my people because they rejected me and didn't keep my commandments. Now he's saying these same people, right? I'm just trying to figure out, I want the critics to tell me who's more lost than the Negro on this planet
Come on now.
historically. Who's more lost of living people and dead people? Put it that way. Living and dead. Who's the most lost? Go ahead.
My people had been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place.
So the Negro was lost back in the flood.
From mountain to hill.
Now we got some children of Israel
Mm-hmm.
who are lost.
Mm-hmm.
And then today we got some Negro or African Americans still lost.
Yeah.
They don't have no resting place.
No.
Corporate executives are like, they don't know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Europeans and Asians and other nationalities still today can say, we don't know who we are, we don't have no resting place. Tell me where the nation of black is.
Mm-hmm.
Show me on the earth where the continent of African American is.
Can't find it.
Show me the flag, show me the crest, show me the constitution of a colored person.
Mm-hmm.
The dark racist capital of the world. Show me the UN flag. Show me the representation of those people in the world. Forgotten and lost. Verse 7.
All that found them have devoured them.
Who finds people? And what people, if you lost and you have nowhere to go, you are the people we want to find to put you to work for free labor. Because ain't nobody missing you. Ain't nobody looking for you.
Right.
And if you run away, there ain't nowhere for you to go.
That's right.
Who is that person, Mr. and Mrs. Critic? Who is that? I'm a false prophet. I'm telling lies. Who are these people and where are they at?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Names change.
Yeah.
You keep changing their names so they can't, they don't want to do the work to go back and research all these misnomers and names to okay, who were they called originally? Who are these people?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's looking. Nobody cares. Let's give them some fake civilianship, some fake rights, and then they won't care what we really owe them. So people find them, they devour them. Yeah, they eating human meat now. So we can be as blatant as saying there's people eating people now.
Mm-hmm.
Not just using them for slave labor now. They're like, it's a food shortage, it's a shortage of meat. Let's just add that. Let's go on the streets of America and see what savage people we can get to taste human meat. Literally, physically eating. Somebody finds people who are lost, because lost people don't know where they're going and don't even know where they came from. Right? It's easy for a predator to snatch someone homeless on the street who's looking for somebody who's lost and living on the street.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do experiments on people. It's easy to just go on the street and find people nobody's looking for and do experiments on them and take them to facilities and then drop them back off and spread disease and do things for people who are lost who nobody's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
This is the pool of the unchosen that somebody created.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Right.
So societally, somebody has created unwanted people. Instead of just bringing everybody up to the standard, they call that socialism. That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
We don't want everybody eating. We don't want everybody healthy. We don't want everybody living right.
Mm-hmm.
All that find them devour them, and their adversaries say what?
We offend not.
We don't offend nobody by taking these people and putting them into slavery and taking their name away and taking their culture away and saying we are now the American, we are now the Aboriginal Australian, we are now the African. I'm more African than you. I live in South Africa. They are now the dark races of people. Eventually there will be no such thing as a dark race of people. They already took Negro out.
Yeah.
So if you destroy the whole Negro population, who's missing them?
Nobody.
Because they already got Ethiopia.
Yep.
Canaanites, gone.
Yep.
Libyans,
Gone.
barely hanging on.
Mm-hmm.
Egyptians, gone.
Right.
Or replaced by
Yeah.
East Arabs.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Like you destroy people, you moving other people in.
We the people.
Nobody's really in an uproar about it.
That's right.
We don't offend nobody. Go ahead.
Because they have sinned against El.
Oh, so if all the enemies of El now attack El's people because they now are not keeping the knowledge, who's gonna be mad about it?
Nobody.
Go ahead.
The habitation of justice. Even El, the hope of their fathers.
We don't offend nobody. Ain't nobody worried about lost people being put in
No
in
man.
captivity. Listen, the Koreans and the Chinese people in the sweatshops that make all your little cheap Walmart products, y'all not worried about that sweatshop or the people that make. When you walk into Walmart, you're not thinking about who made that tote, who made that tub, who made those towels, who made anything on them aisles. You pick it up and you look at it. You don't care what it says on the bottom, and you don't care the standard of life of the people that make your life so convenient. My daughter picked up something, she said, "Is this really made over there?" I'm like, "Yeah, babe. It really comes from over there."
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared of the day she be like, "So what do we make?" We're part of the problem.
Yeah.
You are a part of the problem. Your convenient life, the clothes on your back, the stuff that's in your yard, the things that are trash to you, millions of people are dying in slum factories to make it. You don't care. Leave that alone. Leave that alone. Let y'all chew on that for a minute. Let's look at something here. So now we got these lost people that nobody is looking for. The people that devour them, literally. Who are we offending?
Right.
Let's go to Psalms 83. Now let's see if this passage makes more sense to you. We got souls. We got people. We got people that rejected him. Now he's calling his people lost, because if you ain't keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, you are truly lost people. Psalms 83, verse 1. Go ahead.
Keep not thou silence, O El. Hold not thy peace, and be still not, O El Elyon. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They didn't just lift up their head. They said, who's going to be offended? They signing agreements in Berlin. They chopping up Africa. They chopping up who runs Australia. They done made an agreement of who can go to the Arctic Circle and who can't. They done determined who can go into space. You lucky you're able to breathe air, because if they was able to compartmental air, they would kill you so they can keep the air for themselves. They've already recycling water now. You're not getting fresh water from nature as you should have it. Now you're getting recycled and osmosis, and they're giving you the water to drink. They're giving you the food. They over in Israel and everywhere making food and machines. They're actually making chicken and making beef. They're eating real food, but they're giving you beyond this and beyond that. You're lost in so many ways. And they ain't gonna give lost people real things.
No, not at all.
You gotta figure out what side you on. Do you even have the knowledge, or do you even care? So the enemies, not only saying who do we offend, they gonna come together in they secret groups and in their known groups. And they lifted up their head, verse 3.
They have taken crafty counsel against our people.
Let's see how much else can we take from the lost. Go ahead.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
There's some people that have purposely been hidden. You can see even in the Bible dictionary, they have hidden the Negro. He's lost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't come from Shem, Ham, and Japheth, you tell me.
Right.
We calling ourselves Negroes, but in biblical history, the most religious people on the earth, the dark races are the most religious people on the earth, the Negro.
Ain't got no
has no lineage to the flood.
Wow.
So now I ask you, why do we believe a story that we have no connection to? Mr. and Mrs. American Negro. You have no connection to Noah's story. Genealogy, genetically. You lost. But you're the most spiritual, most holy, most religious people on the earth. The most singingest, dancingest, tambourine, tap dancingest people on the earth. And you don't even have a biblical connection to Shem, Ham, or Japheth. So you are a part of no nation in Genesis chapter 10. So they take crafty counsel, consulted against the hidden ones. You are the hidden ones. We're the ones signing applications with misnomers. We're the ones taking history, but our history ain't nothing. They're burning our records.
Yep.
They made our people disappear. So now that you're not connected to nobody, and your history has been taken and put in the Smithsonian and into museums that you can't even pay, or you don't even have the knowledge to go look at, because now they're talking about Biden just passed bills to remove historical information even from museums that tell you who you are. Now that people are starting to look and not spending their money going to Europe, they're going into museums and they seeing things and they put it on YouTube. They're like, wait, we got to take this stuff out of the museum. Verse 4.
They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Who's cut off from being a nation?
We are.
The nations are in Genesis chapter 10.
Right.
Who was cut off from Zondervan?
Negro.
The Negro is not connected.
Not at all.
The Negro is not connected to Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So-called. So now Israelites want to be connected to Shem, but there's nothing showing connection to Shem. Historically, they made counsel and they erased it.
That's what we read now.
There's a person connected to Sem, but Shem don't have no descendants.
Yeah.
But Semitic, Sem has relatives, but Shem, right, that's semantics.
Yeah.
But through what we just learned today, who has been cut off from being a nation, knowing that Genesis chapter 10 is where the nations of the world were populated after the flood?
Negro.
Israel.
Negro, Israel, potato.
Potato.
They both lost.
That's right.
That the name of Israel
That's right. May be no more in remembrance.
is Raah.
Come on
Yeah.
now. Hey.
El.
El forgotten.
But you took
Israel forgotten.
Yeah.
Say, the forgotten.
We saying the name now because the name is all through scripture. El Elyon, El Shaddai, El Roah,
El Raah,
El Elohim. But you come in the Israelite community, it's Yah, 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 Yahuwah. Where is El at?
Yeah.
Forgotten.
Because we read in the same Psalms, it say Halal El, Halal, Hallelujah, Halal Yah. Halal Yah and Halal El, which is it? People named El, they're not Israel.
No.
No, I ain't seen that.
Cut off from being a nation.
Yeah.
We said in the other lessons, Israel wasn't even a nation long.
No.
And Israel wasn't even a nation outside of the little landmass. They lost their supreme deity. They lost their covenant. The people gone. and land on.
Man, yes, sir.
What they say, they don't know where their resting place is. And guess what, Negro? You don't have no resting place. That's interesting. Verse 5.
For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate
They are look at that word again.
against thee.
I'm about to do that part 3, man, because we gotta get it a little deeper. Man, I done seen Dave Holloway and Steve break down. Confederate. Got a union army and a Confederate army.
Yeah, come on.
Confederate.
What that mean?
Got a union
Hmm.
and a Confederate.
Mm-hmm.
Federation.
Right.
United Nations.
Mm-hmm. Keep going. Pick up the pieces.
They have consulted together with one consent.
One consent.
They are confederate against who?
What's the one consent?
Cut them off from being a nation,
Right.
and the name of Israel be remembered
No more.
no more.
Wow.
Huh. Let's keep going, man. You got a lot of stuff to cover. I know I put a lot on this. Let's look at the next slide. So, lost tribes, Negro lost tribe.
Yeah.
Let's look at something. Let's look at the Americas. Go ahead, Art.
Tribes. The Native Americans, also called American Indians or Indigenous Americans.
Let's get it correct. Indigenous American is not the same as a Native American.
Not at
Come
all.
on now.
And an American is not the same. It's depending on who's using it in what context.
Yes.
Because by definition, an American is the copper-colored indigenous people found here.
Correct.
Now, today's American are Europeans or people native born on the land.
Right.
So where did the indigenous people go?
Come on now. Good point.
Go ahead, Al.
There are more than 500 federally recognized tribes within the USA.
Look at this map. Read that again. There are what?
There are more than 500 federally recognized tribes within the USA.
Federally. Federation.
Yep.
The United States is now saying who they recognize. They only recognize 500 of the tribes that were in North America. You think there was they telling you 5 civilized tribes, they only, who is the they? The Europeans only recognize
Yeah.
500. Let me go back. Let's just try to take a picture of it. 1 second, slide. There we go. 1 second, slide. All right, is that what you're looking for? So the federal government only recognizes in history in America 500. So how did we get to 5 civilized tribes? And why would they take 5 civilized tribes, put them in Oklahoma just to let the Europeans come and take that?
Come on now. Make it plain.
I don't know about that one.
I mean, when they talk U.S. history, they wasn't talking about 500 recognized tribes in America.
No. Nope.
Not at all.
Look at this. This is 1500s. Native Americans cultures in the 1500s. Where did all these people go and what do they look like? Well, we've done history. We know what the Narragansett look like.
Yep.
We know what the Wampanoag look like.
Mhm.
And if they were colored, look at all the Choctaw,
Oh yeah.
Yamasee, where they go? Chickasaw,
Hey.
Shawnee. Now they got Shawnee people all the way up. All these tribes are all in Oklahoma except for the Western Plains. It said the federal government only recognizes 500 tribes. So the Native Americans who people think are Native Americans today with the angular face and the long straight hair, they would get on here and say, you guys are trying to culture vultures and trying to culturally appropriate us. And I'm looking at them like, well, it's 500 recognized tribes and probably more than 500 that they totally annihilated and extinct.
Come on now.
That's right.
Your people came from the Bering Straits in here. You're not indigenous to this place.
Come on now,
Come
make
on
it
now.
plain.
You came here before the European, but did you come here before the indigenous people? Did you even come here before the Olmecs or the Africans? Wait a minute, if the continents was together
Uh-oh.
and you came from Alaska down,
Yeah.
wouldn't it just been easier for the people that came from Africa to walk over?
Uh-oh.
If the continent was together?
Yeah.
It would have been further away, right? Only way the Bering Straits connected is because the Atlantic Ridge separated. So it would have started running into the eastern part of Russia, Asia. It's a lot of tribes.
Yes, it is. Right.
Where they at? On little plots of reservations. What they look like now today? Are they melanated? Who did they come from? Shem, Ham, or Japheth?
That's good.
Mm.
If they dark, are they from Africa because they're dark?
No.
Where did Negro from? I'm just asking a question. Ham only had Canaan. I'm sorry. Noah had Shem, Ham, and Japheth, but Ham only had Canaan, Mizraim, Put, and no, Canaan, Mizraim, Put. I'm missing one.
Give me a second.
He had Israel, Put, Canaan, and Cush.
Cush,
That's
Cush, Mizraim, Canaan, Put. All up north of the Sahara Desert.
Mm-hmm.
What about all these dark race tribes that no longer exist in North America? They weren't even recognized. The explorers came over and said, hey, these dark people look like Ethiopians. How about the hundreds of recognized tribes in Central America?
Come on, man.
Where all these people go? When the Spanish came, where did all these people go? We know the Mayan,
Yep.
they gone. Mexico, Mexica, Bazoes, Yuza, Chizo. Look at all these, where are all these nations at? Where are they? Everybody talking about Aztec, Mayans, and Inca. Where the rest of these tribes at?
Come on now.
And where they go? So the Spanish came and bred with all these tribes, and all these people still look Spanish? No, they don't.
No, sir, no, ma'am.
Hey man, I've been watching my boy Ace online, right? Just look up Ace on YouTube. He traveled looking for the dark races of people throughout all
Yes,
of
sir.
South America and Central America. And along this western coast, all the way down to the tip of South America, all these people look like me with afro.
Yep.
Mm.
Now you telling me these people came all the way from Africa and ended up on the West Coast? From California all the way down
Come on now.
on the other side of the Andes, all the way down to Peru. These people are dark over here.
Yes, sir.
And both sides. But to my point, where are all these indigenous people of Central America?
No, it's some names on there. I ain't never even heard of.
Yeah. And I bet the people living in Mexico, I heard the dude, y'all seen the dude on YouTube say the way the Americans treat Mexicans, not letting them cross the border, is the same way Mexico treat Guatemalans. They don't let the dark Guatemalans cross into Mexico.
Yeah.
That's great.
So the same border wall they built up at, see, I'm saying too much. Because Mexico don't want you to know they keeping the Guatemalans out. Same thing the Americans doing up there, the Mexicans doing to the dark Guatemalans and the people trying to cross over into Mexico for a better life. Where are all these lost tribes at, right? But look, how about the hundreds of recognized tribes in South America? Now you gotta wonder, why ain't there more tribes in South America than North America? Well, this is Amazon. This is heavily populated forest, tribal land. But so, you bringing in millions of Africans from so-called Africa to a place populated with dense forests and dark people.
Right.
The Portuguese come, the Spanish come, but where are all these tribes of people? Look at the islands. Carib. Look above there. Arawak, Taino, right? Puerto Rico, Taino, Caribbean islands, right? Jamaica, all that up there. These people are already there.
Been there.
They would have been there because so-called Africa was already connected to South America. Are not these two land masses similar?
Oh, yes. Like
South America and Africa is very populated and dense. Like if you bring the Congo and sit it right here, it's the same.
Yep.
It's the same thing, right? Where are all these tribes of people at? They lost too. They just got exterminated, wiped out. Look, that whole purple, that's the Incan. That's the Incan kingdom. All that purple, all the way down. They're not teaching us nothing. Nothing at all. They don't want us to know. So to all my brothers and sisters from South America and Mexico and all that, hey, do your own research before you start talking about who ain't what and who what. So why is the seal of California, why got this black lady on it?
Huh?
Come on now.
Uh-oh.
Who knows about Queen Khalifa and why is she
Come
a
on now.
myth? Why is she a myth instead of the truth? Y'all got Apollo's house over in Europe, people going to see all of these shrines of Zeus and Mount Olympia, but they don't want to believe that Queen Khalifa, they don't want to tell you where the name California come from.
Right.
But is she a myth or is it real? Let's go back to this map real quick. I want to show y'all something. No, I think I got one more map on here. Let me go to it. So let's find about Queen Khalifa. Find that on your slide.
Yes, sir. I'm right there with it. Oh, what you for?
1 second. Khalifa.
Yes, sir.
Read about Queen Khalifa, all right?
All right. Queen Khalifa, Spanish conquistadors, told stories about a mythical.
Who told stories?
Spanish conquistadors.
And who conquered South America and Central America?
Spain, Portuguese.
All the way up into North America.
That's right.
The Spanish.
Yeah.
So the Spanish conquistadors tell stories of what?
A mystical African Moorish queen.
A mythical
Does that mean
Moorish queen.
Does that mean Moorish?
Moorish.
Moorish. Let's just stick to Moor, M-U-U-R, right?
Yeah.
Because we know Moor just means black.
Yeah.
So why do you need African and Moor? So African black.
Come on now.
Queen, go ahead. She ruled what?
That ruled a state of California,
Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
situated in the same location as the present day California.
With the name.
The modern state California continues the legacy and the memory of this great African queendom and its queens.
How in the world did she get there?
Right.
Africans got all the way to the west coast of North America.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Man.
California Khalifa.
Hmm.
A myth? They're calling a state a name? Or is this who the Europeans found when they crossed over the Rockies?
This is what they found out.
They found some dark people that again that look like Africans and they made it a myth. Why? Because Spanish was conquering up, obviously, the west side of the Rockies. Go ahead.
California, the land of the ever-living Moorish Empress Khalifa was the title of each empress.
So that's what, like you call Caesar Augustus, Caesar.
Khalifa.
The queens are Khalifas.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
California was her land. She was known to be dark of skin, of the Moorish nationality.
What is a Moorish? Are we Moorish? Have the Moorish people, listen, I'm not joking. Have the Moorish people been lost?
I never
No.
heard of it.
Hidden?
No.
Moorish.
Moorish? Somebody look that up.
Moorish. We reading about it, huh? Go ahead.
Of the Moorish nationality and ruled over islands and islands of African people.
Moorish. She ruled over dark skin. Moorish nationality. She ruled over islands of African people.
Yeah.
Wow.
California
Uh-huh.
was African people.
Oh, no.
Everything got to be African because surely dark people could not have been here that are not African.
Right.
Go ahead.
From California to Baja to Hawaii.
To where?
Hawaii.
Oh.
Go ahead.
A Moorish island ruled by women. It was first mentioned in the records of the Western European Christians
Wow.
in the 7th century and retold the Song of Roland, where a passing mention of a place called California was made, perhaps because it was Caliph's domain.
A Moorish island. Could be a joke, could be a myth. Hey, you do the research. But why is there maps of an island mass in the Pacific called Mu?
Hmm.
What's inside this island mass of Mu? Hawaii,
Yeah.
Tahiti,
Mhm.
Samoa.
Mhm.
All these islands was considered, just imagine, so if there's a mountain under the mid-Atlantic ridge, you don't think that there was once a landmass in the Pacific? And as the Atlantic pushes North and South America away from the Europe African continent, it just flooded out. These island ranges, which probably once upon a time was above. And as it flooded, the people either went into Australia or they went back into America.
Hmm.
Is it a myth? Is it real? Well, here's a depiction of women at a mission in San Jose,
Oh, wow.
in California.
Wow.
Man, say.
Because they're dark skinned, the Europeans are saying everybody is either Ethiopian or African.
Right.
The state is called California.
Yeah.
There's a story about a Queen Khalifa. They made her a myth.
Yep.
A myth.
just doesn't exist, because he who conquers writes the story.
His story.
But now look at California, right? Just look at this map here.
Mm.
Hispania Nova, which we call today Central America.
Mm-hmm.
This is South America, terra firma. But look at this. Why does California look like an island?
We do.
And you can say, yeah.
Mm.
Why is there water in between the whole state of California and what we know today as the continent of North America?
Mm.
Did y'all know that water really existed?
Man.
I want somebody to look up what that waterway was and how they got that water to disappear.
Mm.
I didn't want to get off into all that, but I want somebody, a critic, to tell me if California was not an island, or there was not water separating California from North America, why is there a history of it? And if y'all can't put it in the comments and y'all can't find it, I'll bring it out next week before I start next week's lesson. But I want you to tell me, why is California separated? What was that waterway called, and why is it gone today?
Mm-hmm.
How did man get rid of California looking like an island?
Mm.
Because this depiction of it is true.
Mm.
So keep going. So we're talking about
Moorish people.
Moorish people. Not Moorish people, M-O-O-R,
But mirror.
but Mir, because Queen Khalifa was supposed to be a
A
Moor,
mirror. A mirror.
or a Muir, or a Moor. Go ahead.
So Moorish people, once again, continuing, mirror is the ancient name for the original people of the earth. What?
Stop.
Stop now. Time
Come again, say who?
It say the original people of what?
The earth.
Word.
Go ahead.
Based on ancient teachings of the indigenous people of the Washita or Ochita River Valley and its tributaries.
Go ahead.
The indigenous proprietary inhabitants of this part of the Americas recognize ourselves as mirrors. Modern Western settlers in our lands call us the lost race.
Call who the lost race?
Watch out.
The mirrors.
Come on now.
We lost.
We lost.
The Moors is lost.
Mirrors lost.
The Israelites.
The Israelites lost.
The Negro lost.
Negroes showed up lost.
It's a lot of lost people. But why would they say Queen Khalifa is a myth when there's teachings in the Washita people that say the Moors are the original people of the earth and they are a lost race?
Mm-hmm.
How is there records kept of this lost race? Read that last part.
The mound builders of Mu. Mu means earth.
Earth people, the people of the earth, the Mu, they actually have a flag?
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
But the Negro ain't got no flag.
The Negro ain't got no flag.
But the Mu do.
Here's the funny thing.
Come on, man.
This sister here, she is the Empire of the Washita, the Duhome, what's that?
This is
Dum
the
Mound,
Empire, the Washington. This is
Empress,
the Moundia.
Empress Verdici Tierra.
Wow.
Why did she go to the UN, and why did she have a United Nations charter?
Mm.
Indigenous people.
Come on now.
She's recognized. So these Moors, these Washita Moors, are recognized by the United Nations.
Mm.
Did you see it at the bottom right there?
What it say at the bottom?
It says the Empire Washita the Dumdumaya in recognition for being the oldest indigenous civilization on earth.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
Yo.
There you go.
So the Washita have teachings about the Moors or the Moors, the people of the earth. California has a myth about Queen Khalifa, who's a Moor, people of the earth.
Yeah.
And now the United Nations has given a charter recognizing the Washita people.
The oldest, man. They had them receipts, huh, sis?
So we got dark race of people, people of the earth, here in the Americas, but we don't have no connection to
Come on now.
Shem Hammer Jack.
Look at them folks.
So these Washita people, these tribes, that people go down to Mardi Gras, they're about to go down to Mardi Gras, next month?
Next month,
And
yeah.
see all of these so-called Negroes
So
dressing
two
up.
whole
Are they culture vultures?
No.
You gonna go down to New Orleans and tell these people they're culturally appropriated and saying they are native, they are the oldest people on this earth, they are one of the oldest tribes still active in the New Orleans area? You telling me these people are just pretending?
No.
They're pretending to be Indians, pretending to dress up in their regalia every year at Mardi Gras?
Damn, man. Come on, man.
These Negroes or these colored people are different than me. They come from America. I come from America. These colored sisters, South America, these people, where these dark races of people come from in America is my point.
Come on now.
This is my point. I know the chat probably going crazy. Read this. 1993, what happened?
1993, the Washita Indigenous Nation of Mound Builders.
Who?
Mound Builders. Washita Indigenous Nation of Mound Builders received its United Nations number 215 of 93. To date, the Empress, as one of the living heirs of Henry Turner, has recovered the title to 68,883 acres of land, comprising most of the northern part of the said state of Louisiana.
Wait a minute.
Watch out now.
This Negro woman, colored woman, was recognized by the UN in 1993, and she was awarded how much land?
68,883 acres.
Why give land to so-called Negroes, colored people, dark people?
Half Louisiana.
So my Mongolian Native American friends that would say we were cultural vultures, or we're trying to claim right and say we Choctaw, we Blackfoot, we this and we that.
There you go.
What about this Negro? So-called Negro,
Come on now.
Empress,
Right.
leader of the Washita people, related to the great chief of the Muir people, the people of the earth, the oldest tribe, indigenous tribe, recognized here on earth,
On earth.
recognized by the UN as the oldest indigenous people on earth.
Come on now.
They
Where's she faking at? And why is the UN recognizing her? I think the UN trumps the United States
Absolutely.
or Louisiana.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Keep reading.
The Washita never drew boundaries. We are the original inhabitants of all the lands from wherever you find mound sites, you find part of the empire in so-called North America. Well, we just seen some mounds at.
We went to Mississippi.
Come on, man.
I took a picture and what was they doing? What was they doing to the mound? What was it? Listen, we took a trip last summer, right?
Yeah.
To Mississippi. It took us all 20 up through Arkansas, back through Mississippi, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we went and saw these mounds, and what Raah said, I gotta turn around, I gotta see
Turn
it.
around.
So I'm looking at these mounds, and guess what they was doing to the mound?
Yeah.
They had excavators on the mound, digging it out, circling it, destroying it,
Yep.
looking for archives. But look, the Moors or the Moors or the Murs, the oldest people of the earth, are mound. Look at where all these mounds are today.
Kadon. Mississippian.
That's saying Kadoa, that's saying cattle, right?
Yeah.
But look, up to
Yeah.
Mississippi, up through Alabama, through Jackson, through Tennessee. Look at the Tennessee, Kentucky. Look at all the mounds built straight up to Mississippi.
Wow.
What did it say?
It says, original inhabitants of the lands, from wherever you find mound sites, you find part of the empire
Zoom in on it.
in so-called North America.
Look up this map, the Mississippian culture. Look at this, the mound builders.
Man.
Look at all these mounds.
Wow.
Y'all don't even know that there are pyramids and mounds in Tennessee,
Yes.
in Memphis. They got neighborhoods built. The Europeans came and built houses on top of the mines, hiding, because guess what's in the guess what's in these mounds? Artifacts. Everything that everybody said I want to be Egyptian for, we, the indigenous people of America, our information is in the mounds, and guess what they're doing with the mounds now? Excavating them. I got a picture with it in the background. I should have put it up. I got a picture of my phone with it. I'm taking a picture, taking a selfie, and in the background is an excavator destroying the mounds. Destroying our story.
Our history.
Wherever a mound is,
She said, wherever you find it, in
That's-
so-called North America,
that's the
it's part of
boundary.
their empire.
Not just, look, it's going all the way into Canada. It's all
All
the
the
way
way
to
up
the Great
there. That's
Lakes.
what I was like, man, look at that, man.
Lost people. Now, tell me why I got a blank slide.
Me too. I got two of them. Okay. One more time.
So the Moors, the Washita people who preserved the teachings and the knowledge are lost. The oldest civilized people on earth.
So this-
Recorded, older than the pyramids in South America, older than Egypt.
Older than Egypt.
These mound building people
Earth people.
were recognized and given a UN number,
In 1993.
which means they have a seat at the table
Yeah.
of what happens to them worldwide.
Worldwide. Because if you find the mounds, we need that.
But you can't connect one and two because the people don't know.
Right.
This ain't in no history book.
No.
Yeah, in school, college,
Somebody be like, man, you reaching.
No,
man, yeah, kill that. That ain't no reach, that's fact.
We see the mounds personally.
Yeah, I'm saying, we got receipts.
yes.
We got receipts. I got pictures of my phone too.
We was
got
there.
receipts. You can say reach all you want to. Well, we
There's
got
a mound people coming up right through the places where my people originate from that I know of.
Yeah.
Mine too, that's right.
And my family, my entire family on my mama's side.
Off the same place.
Man.
Now let's keep moving, right? Let's look at some more lost things here.
Yeah, let's keep bringing it out. Let's keep bringing it out.
Let's look at this Seminole mascot. Y'all ever heard of Harper's Weekly? It's a newspaper that used to come out, right? And let's see what Harper's Weekly had to say about Osceola. See how they sketch Osceola? Osceola was very dark, but over here they got Osceola looking like a
European.
Hun or
Mongolian.
Mongolian or Asian or light-skinned Mexican as we know them today, right? They got him looking very, very bright.
Yeah. Mandarinish.
People that look like him would get on here and say, y'all are being culture vulture. Well, let's see which of these pictures is right. Let's go to Harper, go to the next slide and read what he has said.
Osceola.
This is supposed to be Osceola, right?
Yeah.
Here's the sketch from the day they took him. But let's see what he said out of his own mouth.
Osceola, a Seminole warrior,
The Seminole warrior. Go ahead.
led members of his tribe in Florida in valiant attempts to resist the U.S. Army's efforts to forcibly deport them to a reservation west of the Mississippi River.
They tried to send them to Oklahoma, but the Seminoles fought and rejected. Let's see what happened.
Seminole Chief Osceola.
Oh, this is supposed to be the chief, right? This is what most of them look like when you go to the reservations today, right?
Go ahead. Osceola, the most well-known leader of the Seminole Indians,
He's the most well-known. Go ahead.
was born in 1804 in a creek town near Tallahassee,
In a creek town near Tallahassee, Florida. Go ahead.
present-day Tuskegee, Alabama.
Okay, Tuskegee, Alabama. Wait a minute. It said creek town in Florida.
Right.
Today it's called Tuskegee.
Alabama.
So Alabama was
part of Florida.
so Florida
Separated.
borders was much more than they are today.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, go ahead.
Am I a Negro?
Wait a minute. Harper's Ferry, the great chief of the Seminole people, he said what?
Am I a Negro?
He's quoted in the Harper's Weekly, which is a publication out of New York. He is quoted as saying what?
Am I a Negro?
Who's calling him a Negro, and does that look like all you cultural appropriators and people that had a lot to say about us last week, right?
Mhm.
Does he look like a Negro? And if you look like him, do they call you a Negro?
Come on now. Not at all.
He's saying somebody's calling me a Negro.
Mhm.
Am I a Negro? What else he say?
Am I a slave?
Am I a slave? Go ahead.
I am an Indian.
I am a what?
I am an Indian.
See, people will look at that and say,
Indigenous.
hey, he looks like what they call Indians today. Go ahead.
The white man shall not make me black.
Ooh, come on now. That's deep.
Why would somebody look like that
Right.
be worried about being called a Negro or black?
If they look a certain color. Come on now. That ain't it.
That ain't it, sis.
Here go the sketch.
Right. That ain't it.
Osceola is the leader of the Seminole people, and they're fighting not to be sent west of the Mississippi into Oklahoma territory or Indian territory,
Yeah.
into reservation or what they would deem as slavery. You're taking me from my land, putting me somewhere I'm not. It's slavery.
The slavery.
Yeah.
But who made that depiction?
Somebody that.
That's cultural appropriation.
Oh, yeah.
Because the real Osceola said, y'all are trying to call me black and trying to call me an Indian, a Negro and make me a slave.
Yeah.
That was the terminology.
I didn't make this up. We read it with the Harper's Weekly.
And this is
quoted him.
This is his quote.
That's fact.
This is him. Not him, but him.
That's Osceola's
Yeah,
quote.
that's his quote. Yeah.
They're trying to make me a slave.
Mhm.
Am I a Negro?
That's good.
Am I black?
Mhm.
They trying to make, and then the historians turn around and draw him like that. You pull up Osceola, that's pictures like that gonna pop up.
Of course.
Say, man.
His story.
Hey, yeah, he was that guy.
So, he's lost. He's hidden. The history of actually what the people look like is hidden. You get rid of a people and you replace them with images. It's just whitewashing.
That's it.
It's iconoclasm.
Come on now.
Mhm.
I can't be talking about they think I'm a Negro and black and my hair be straight and I look like a
Mongolian.
Mongolian.
Mhm.
I look like I'm from Asia.
That boy like he Jackie Chan cousin.
1804. We read that, right?
Yes, sir. I'm still on the his quote.
Look at the color version of the
Oh,
picture.
wow. Yeah, he was dark.
Oh, yeah, plain and simple.
You still read?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I will make the white man red with blood, and then blacken him in the sun and rain, where the wolf shall smell his bones, and the vulture live upon his flesh. This is printed as his quote. Oh, this guy, Osceola,
Okay.
Chief. This was printed in Harper's Weekly, June 12, 1858.
1858.
What?
That ain't even that long after that Civil War.
Yeah, yeah,
Emancipation is right after that, right?
Ain't that long ago, huh?
So he said, am I a Negro? I am an Indian. I am basically indigenous to this land.
Yeah.
The white man shall not make me black.
And
But they gonna put a picture like this, and this is how they depict Osceola at every Florida State game.
No.
This is supposed to be Osceola.
That ain't it.
The white man will not make me black. Well, who made Osceola this white? The Florida State think they okay, but I'm trying to figure out who approved that. That's a counterclassism. Does that guy look like somebody's trying to call him a Negro and a black person?
No, not at all.
Do you think the Europeans who were putting Negroes and blacks in slavery, do you think they was confused on what he is?
no.
Y'all sure?
They knew.
Let's see. Let's look at one of these. Lost tribes in the promised land. Now let's do the blacks and Indians.
Yeah.
Hey, start here on page 36. See, read from there to the end, right? Start where it say it.
Let me, hopefully y'all can see that in the, online. All right.
The black Indians. Where it say it.
It was in Mexico that Europeans made their strongest effort to keep Africans apart from Native Americans. Black men far outnumbered their women and so sought Indian wives. A Native American wife meant if she was free, that the children born to her would be free, not slaves.
So they brought all these Africans over here. And they brought so many Africans over here that they outnumbered the Indians.
And the Indian girls said,
Where all the Indian men go?
look at them black men, and they started marrying them. They married them, boy.
It's crazy how the narrative is, we brought so many Africans into South America. We brought so many Africans into Central America. We brought so many Africans into North America. It is not that possible to bring that many colored people over here.
Can't take that many colored people nowhere.
No.
Go ahead.
So extensive was the contact between red and black people that Spanish law prohibited the two races from living together or marrying as early as 1523.
How is it we having the same problem in Mexico in 1523, and then in the 1800s in Florida, and then all throughout America, we got an issue with dark Africans
Yeah.
and Indians?
Mm-hmm.
This is not making sense that even in Oklahoma, now you got the Indians that are dark
Yeah.
versus the Indians that look like this picture of Osceola.
Yeah.
That's right.
One saying the one ain't true and the other saying, oh, you a freedman and you, listen, it is not possible that the Europeans is gonna lose control of chattel slavery that they bring in. This is not making sense.
Right.
The Spanish couldn't control it. Then they couldn't control it in Florida. And then the French couldn't control it in Louisiana. Like everybody. Then the Europeans came and they couldn't control the Wampanoag and the Africans. Like this is not making sense. These colored people was already here. They were being called Africans.
That's right.
You go all the way to California and see a dark race of people being ruled by so-called black queens, and you call them African Moorish queens. It's a myth now, because obviously women couldn't rule, right? That's the male chauvinist part of the situation. But how are we in Mexico having the same issue with the Spanish? So we don't want the dark people mixing with the Indians, the Anglo, Mongolian. That's how Giovanni de Verrazano
That's how he
described the two different types of people
What kind
that
of
were
face
there.
that is? What kind of face that is?
Angler.
Angular, Mongolian faith. This is how Giovanni de Verrazano said. This is what he seen when he came into Chesapeake Bay, the Wampanoag, the Narragansett, right? What is it? The Pontotoc, the Seneca, all of these dark races, and then there was some Angular. Come on now, go ahead. So the Europeans come in, they don't want them to mix because they want these Angular-faced women for themselves.
Yeah.
So the Angular-faced, like, as long as they don't have dark babies, the babies will be free.
Yeah.
If they have dark babies, the babies will be slaves. Go ahead.
So Hernando Cortez was given a royal order to keep Indians in their villages apart from Africans at all costs.
Was Cortez bringing slaves or was Cortez conquering the natives?
He was conquering the natives.
I'm confused. I thought Cortez was coming conquering
Yeah, that's what he was doing.
the native tribes. I didn't think he was coming to set up plantations.
And he was given a decree to do what?
Right? U.S. history, they say Cortez was coming in going to war, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This was only 7 years after Venice, Italy, isolated its Jews in the first ghetto in history. One royal order forbade trade, commerce, or communication between the two dark peoples.
The what?
It says one royal order forbade the trade, commerce, or communication between the two dark peoples.
Wait a minute. So the Indians was dark and the so-called Africans was dark?
They done messed up. They done messed up.
So the Spanish made a royal decree
Yes.
that we don't want the two
Dark.
trading with each other?
Yes. Or talking to each other.
How can slaves trade?
Come on now.
If the Spanish and Portuguese brought slaves,
Uh-huh.
how would then the slaves be allowed to trade with
Each other.
the native Indians?
Come on now. Come on.
And
Come on,
why
man.
bring a dark race of people? You already have a dark. If your whole goal was to enslave dark people, why bring them from Africa and they already here?
Hello.
Now, make it plain. See?
Read that again out.
Okay, one more time. One more time. One royal order forbade trade, commerce, or communication between the two dark peoples.
We don't even want them talking to each other.
They can't even talk to each other out. They were forbidden to sell chickens, fruits, and vegetables, and both defied the law. Racial mixing was so common in Mexico
What?
that it became
What?
racial mixing.
Wait, are we talking about racial mixing with the Spanish and the Indian? Or are we talking about
It's finna
the
tell
two
you-
dark races? Go ahead.
So racial mixing was so common in Mexico that it became hard to tell by skin. Listen to this. I'm gonna say this real slow because I want y'all to hear this. Listen, racial mixing. Think about what race is that we know. Now listen to this. Racial mixing was so common in Mexico that it became hard to tell by skin color who was free and who was a slave.
Because they always go.
Huh? Come again, say what? Repeat? Okay, I will. Racial mixing was so common in Mexico that it became hard to tell by skin color who was free and who was a slave.
Did that not happen with the Seminoles?
Yep.
Did that not happen with the Seminole people?
Same thing.
What do you say? Go back to this quote real quick, all right, one more time. Where's that after that one?
Yeah. 1 second slide.
Okay, now, I'm gonna read this and then we're gonna read the quote. Racial mixing was so common in Mexico that it became hard to tell by skin color who was free and who was a slave. Then we got Chief Osio say, am I a Negro,
A slave?
a slave? He say, I am an Indian. So we had the Negro, the slave that was dark. Oceano was dark. But he say, am I a Negro though?
What did he say next time?
I'm an Indian. Then he say, the white man shall not make me black.
Drop them bombs.
So It's happening in Mexico in the 1500s.
Yep.
It's happening in Florida, Crete, all throughout that whole area in the 1800s.
Come on now.
And it happened as they moved across the whole America through Manifest Destiny. They're running into these two races of dark people, and they do not want them to mix. To the whole point that in Virginia, 1921, they passed the law, the one drop rule, where you can't have one drop of Negro blood, and they put on the rolls that the Indian was now called a Negro and a black. Why? Because you couldn't tell them apart.
That's right. Come on now.
Come on, man.
So now you got so-called Negro and freedmen and angler-faced Mongolian people going on the Trail of Tears, landing in Oklahoma. You either on the Freeman rolls or the Dawes rolls. How did you get it the same? And then, how did you get the $5 Indians on the roll? Same thing. They don't want them to mix. They didn't want them to have trade. These dark races of people, you could not tell them apart.
All right.
Go ahead.
King Philip. Now, remember who King Philip was? King Philip complained that young black Indians committed crimes and then dressed as Indians so they could hide out with their mother's relatives and cannot be found. The genetic blending of the two peoples clearly weakened the control Europeans wanted over their slaves. Europeans feared any dark person might be a slave driven to desperation or out of revenge. One lived in constant fear, wrote a Spanish colonist.
Wow. So they were fearful of the children of these dark races of people mixing together.
And then he said, hold on, they committed crimes and they dressed as Indians.
Crimes according to who?
The European.
Who's saying they committed crimes?
The European.
And why would you need to why would you commit a crime if your resources wasn't taken from you?
And why was you scared? They said you was scared of these folks. Why was you scared?
But this is who pretends to be Osceola today. I didn't know if y'all knew that. But every time y'all see a Florida State game and he runs out, that's supposed to be the great chief Osceola.
No.
But this ain't a person that would have been confused with being black.
Not at all.
So we got some racism, some colorism, discrimination, some iconoclasm going on there. Who's the culture vulture? Now let's see about John Horse. John Horse, go ahead and read that.
John Horse, 1812 through 1882.
This is him right here.
Also known as Juan Cavallo.
Uh-huh.
Juan Cavallo.
Uh-huh.
John Cowaya. With spelling variations, and Gopher John was mixed of ancestry, African and Seminole Indian, who fought alongside the Seminoles in the Second Seminole War in Florida. He rose to prominence in the third year of what was to become a 7-year war, when the first generation of black Seminole leaders was largely decimated, and the primary Seminole War chief Osceola Asai Yahola fell into the hands of the American military commander, General Thomas Sidney Jessup.
John Horse.
Wow.
It is amazing how many Africans they claim on paper they brought into Mexico, South America, and North America, as if there wasn't millions of people already here.
Come on now. That's right.
It is amazing the paper genocide that's going on. Now look at these people today. The Seminole tribe.
All day.
They look like all my aunts. They look like all my aunties and uncles. What is an indigenous person? What is a Seminole? I could pull up a picture of the Narragansett people, the Wampanoag people. the Seneca people. All these people in the eastern Atlantic seaboard and the south, they all look like so-called Negroes or Africans. The European will want you to believe they all intermix with the native as opposed to already being here. But we already know that there were dark races of people here before the angular face, light-skinned, straight-haired native Indian, which they call themselves today. Right? So now you got a whole war about people that live on the reservation that's trying to hold on to their heritage, and they don't want to acknowledge anyone else.
But we got people that already done proved it.
We already got people who already proved it with UN numbers, right?
You in them.
So look at this. We, the indigenous people of America, were labeled these names by our colonizers: Indian, colored, black, Negro, African American, Afro American. These are misnomers given by Europeans. All the tribes that was in Florida, Alabama, where are they?
Right.
Where are all these people at? Where's the Iroquois Confederation?
Right.
Where are all the people that was in those confederations? Where are all the major, where are all these 500 tribes that they recognize? Where are these people at?
Labeled as black.
The few little reservations and tribes that we know of today that you can go visit, that ain't nearly all the people that they totally wiped out and annihilated in extinction. Where are all these lost tribes of people at? And why are they not looking for them? Let's check some history out. Let's look at how someone can be hidden and destroyed and lost at the same time. Y'all heard of Seneca Village? Let's find out what Seneca Village is. Read that out.
Seneca Village lasted only 32 years.
Only 32 years. Go ahead.
Central Park was created.
Central Park? You mean Central Park, New York?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
You mean this park that everybody visits and runs and rides their bikes through and picnics at? You got all these, look at all these high rises with this wonderful view of Seneca Park. What's Seneca Park, guys?
And the rest is history. Before Central Park was built, a predominantly African American community was torn down to make room for it.
What?
A predominantly African American community was torn down to make room for it.
If African American was only created in 1984, why are they saying it was African American?
Because they don't want you to know.
I'm sorry.
When Seneca Village was around, there was no such thing as African American. See all these misnomers? Who are these people, and why did they have right to live there before Central Park was built?
So I'm sorry, look at all that. The whole community that was, come on now. Look at that.
Keep reading that.
Seneca Village was New York's first free black community. One family that lived there, the Lyons, fought to make New York City a more just place as the country worked to overcome centuries of slavery.
Okay. Centuries of slavery. One family, the Lions, fought for justice. Okay. Keep reading that.
Seneca Village, Central Park continued. Seneca Village was born in 1825.
Stop. 1825. That's before the Civil War,
Yeah.
and that's before emancipation.
Yep. Something wrong, Rob.
So man, I know.
We got a problem here.
They try to say it was a what? A free? Let's go back real quick.
Yeah.
They say Seneca Village was a free, predominantly African American community of free blacks.
Yeah.
Free blacks in 1828. Okay, go ahead.
So, yeah. What was I at? Okay, yeah. So, Seneca Village was born in 1825 when landowners in the area subdivided their land and sold it as 200 lots. According to the Central Park Conservancy, it was located along what is now Central Park's perimeter from West 83rd to West 89th Street.
Go ahead.
From 1825 to 1832, the owners sold about half the land parcels to African Americans. By the early 1830s, there were approximately 10 homes in the village.
Go ahead.
By 1855, the village had about 225 residents, according to the Conservancy. African Americans made up 2/3 of the residents. The other third was made up of Irish immigrants and people of German descent. All residents had to leave by the end of 1857.
Wait a minute. This sounds great. It sounds like the American dream. All of the people getting along, black people, white people, Germans, Irish. So it says all residents had to leave. It was that all African Americans had to leave, all Germans, Irish, and African Americans. Who had to leave? Let's keep going. So here's the 200 lots and how the homes was broken down, right? Seneca Village. Go ahead.
Now a monument is being made to commemorate the village. The monument will showcase Albro Lyons, Mary Lyons, and their daughter, Marchika Lyons. 2014 to 2021, Mayor Bill de Blasio's office announced the plans for the monument.
So where did all the people go?
Oh,
They were living there, and now they're not. It's just a park.
Yeah.
Got a little pond. I mean, where did all
Fish
the
don't do it no
where did
justice.
all the residents where'd all the residents go?
This was the houses before.
All the residents gone. Interesting. And now there's just a plaque left
Man.
commemorating this African American couple,
So-called.
so-called, and it's gone.
It's gone. Bye-bye.
They gone. All the people had to leave so they could build a park.
A park.
You live in there, and now it's flattened and turned into a park. Let's look at how they made. I'm giving you an example of how people disappeared. Like you have a home, they're gonna call you a misnomer, and then you just disappear. Have y'all heard of Cowaliga, Alabama? Cowaliga, Alabama. Let's read about it, huh? Cowaliga, Alabama. I'm gonna show you how people just lost, hid, they just disappeared. How did the Europeans just make? One way they made Indian land disappear is they took it from them. The second way they hid it is to put it behind a land reserve, make it a national park,
Yep.
make it Central Park. But let's look at how they got rid of other people. Go ahead.
John Benson in the 1800s. A black man from Alabama named John Benson escaped the thumb of slavery, traveled across state lines to save his sister, then became a wealthy man who founded a black community on the same land where he was once a slave.
Wow.
But that's just half the story. His son would continue his legacy by building a school, as well as the first black-owned railroad in the U.S.
The first black-owned railroad. We got another so-called black community started by the Benson family and Cowaliga. Go ahead. They got a school. Go ahead.
And you've probably never heard of either of them.
You never heard of John Benson? You never heard of
His
John
son.
Benson or his son? Go ahead.
John Jackson Benson was born September 1850 on the shores of Cowaliga Creek in Alabama. His slave owner, James Benson, owned a plantation in Alabama near Cowaliga Creek.
Okay. Sounds good. He rebought some land that he used to be a slave on. This is John Jackson Benson right here. Good looking brother. Nice dude. Suit. Go ahead.
John moved to Shelby and worked the mines for 60 cents per ton. He worked tirelessly until he finally saved up $100.
$100. What did he do?
It might not have seemed like much, but it was enough to leave the coal mines behind. head back to his home near Cowaliga.
Okay, so he goes back home
Mm-hmm.
and he buys up some of that slave owner land. Go ahead.
He used the money to buy some land from his former slave owner's estate and began to work the land.
He worked the land. Go ahead.
For the next 10 years, John would slowly acquire more land from his former slave owner's estate. By 1890, he owned 160 acres of
Come on
land.
now.
160 acres in Alabama.
Mm.
He didn't get no 40 acres in the mule.
No.
He bought it,
Mhm.
worked it, and made it prosperous.
Mm.
Here's a general view of Cowaliga. They got schools, hospitals, right?
So they got a girls' dorm,
Industrial building,
training
dormitory. This is what he did with his own hands. Looks wonderful. Great Black History moment. What happened?
But John didn't stop there. Because of the lack of slave labor after the Civil War.
When?
After the Civil War.
After the Civil War, what happened?
Many white farmers didn't have enough manpower to work their large plantations. John saw more opportunities and bought more land each year.
Uh-huh.
John also paid workers using black and white labor, and by 1898 he had amassed 3,000 acres
How much?
of land. 3,000.
And where? Alabama.
Mm. Wow.
I don't know what y'all know, but that's a lot of land. Go ahead.
On it, he built a massive farmhouse, a brickyard, a swan mill,
Sawmill.
a sawmill, a cotton gin, and compression mills.
This boy sound like a millionaire to me.
Yeah, you do.
Go ahead.
The community produced corn, cotton, sugar, and as well as different types of wood, and over 40 families were housed on the land.
40 families on this land. Go ahead.
John's new fortunes allowed him to become the local bank.
He was the bank. Go ahead.
He began bankrolling mortgages for white and black buyers, as well as lending money to white neighbors.
Wow. Go ahead.
Once a slave, now a rich and powerful man with generational wealth.
Go ahead.
All three of his children will receive a college education, which was rare for a black family in the late
You
1800s.
better believe it.
John Benson had accomplished so much, and his son Will would continue to build on his father's legacy.
Ooh, sound good, man. What happened? The Lake Martin Dam. Keep reading now.
Lake Martin, which
This
is
one
located in Tallapoosa, Elmer, and Coosa counties in Alabama, was created in 1926.
1926, they built the Lake Martin Dam and create them a man-made water hole. You want to know what happened to that waterway between California and North America?
That's what it is.
They dammed it up,
Yep,
dried it out. Go ahead.
After the construction of the Martin Dam, the enormous lake has nearly 700 miles of shoreline and covers 41,000 acres. The dam is used to generate hydroelectric power for the Alabama Power Company.
The Alabama Power Company, now the people can get lights in their home. Okay, great. Go ahead.
Because of its size, Lake Martin is a very popular tourist destination, and it hosts events throughout the year. But before there was a lake, there was John Benson and his small black community near
Wow.
Cowaliga Creek,
So where is Cowaliga Creek?
under the water.
It's underwater. Go ahead. Oh, okay, you read that
Yeah,
one.
that was it.
Let's keep going. Let's go to the next one. This is how they did it. They just started flooding out cities and taking millionaires out the game.
Yeah.
Let's look at Susanna Village. Go ahead.
Susanna, on December 31st, 1926, Alabama Power Company,
Who?
Alabama Power Company,
The same power company that affected Cowaliga?
yep,
Okay, go ahead.
they dedicated a giant Martin Dam across the Tallapoosa River,
Uh-huh.
flooding over 40,000 acres under what is now Lake Martin.
Go ahead.
Susanna, and it will be flooded by the waters of Lake Martin. Not so much is known about the founding of and early history of that faded community, now lost forever. But its location was in the vicinity of the beautiful bluff above the Tallapoosa River that the Murphs once made their home.
Murph, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Susanna was actually centered just south of the original Murph compound,
Uh-huh.
a few hundred yards up Blue Creek, flowing from the east.
Keep going. So what did they know to do before? What happened? Go ahead.
900 bodies were moved from cemeteries before the land was submerged.
So they knew that there was major communities in the area. They removed the bodies,
Wow.
buried them elsewhere. So they say. Go ahead.
The town once included a gold mine, a school, 2 mercantiles, a grist mill, a flour mill, a sawmill, a blacksmith shop, and a church.
Goodness gracious.
Cowaliga, schools, churches, hospitals. Susanna, schools, gold mine, flour mill, sawmills, blacksmiths. Gone where?
Underwater.
Under Lake Martin. Why? To build a dam. Let's see what's up with Oscarville. Look at this.
Wow.
Oscarville. Look at that. That's a beautiful resort, right? Got water. Look how you're drying up, right? Got the little boat houses. That's real cute. Lake Lanier. Go ahead.
Lake Lanier is a man-made 38,000-acre lake that attracts about 10 million visitors every year.
You see? Lake Martin.
Yeah.
Visitors, tourists. Lake Lanier, tour. This is all over America.
Yeah.
We could just keep going story after story. This is how you get rid of tribes and get rid of communities and get rid of people. This is how you flood out. This is how you destroy information. If they don't burn it, they're going to flood it out, right? It's underwater. 38,000 acres. Lake Martin was 40-something thousand acres. Go ahead.
Bringing in around $5 billion annually to North Georgia's economy.
Ooh, North Georgia, guess where it is? North of what? Keep going.
The lake is located in the affluent Forsyth County.
Forsyth County.
Which has the highest median income in Metro Atlanta.
In what?
Metro Atlanta.
You mean the most populous city of so-called blacks in America, Atlanta? This is North Atlanta. Forsyth County, north of Atlanta, Georgia? Wow. Keep going.
This fact is especially interesting considering that the body of water covers what was once a thriving black community called a thriving black community.
Called what?
Oscarville.
Career. Susanna. Oscarville. You think this stuff is just, y'all know about Rosewood, y'all know about Tulsa, but y'all ain't knowing about these cities that they burnt up, that was more than just Tulsa and these places, how they had hospitals, banks, sawmills, sugar mills. These people was millionaires. They built dams, flooded them out. Go ahead. Okay,
Forsyth County.
Keep going. Yeah.
The community formed during the late 1800s was filled with successful farmers, carpenters, and blacksmiths until Oscarville's more than 1,000 residents were violently forced out by violently.
How you think they got the people out of Susanna?
Violently.
How you think they got the people out of Cowaliga?
Violently.
How do you get them out of Tulsa?
Violently.
How do you get out of Rosewood? How do you get rid of a people that you don't want? How do you get rid of the native tribes that you gave Oklahoma to? How do you take some of the land back from the Indian territory which you gave the Indians? You come in and violently have Boomer Sooner say, go take what you can take. And mark it and fence it off. So how did they get Oscarville? Go ahead.
Were violently forced out by white Forsyth County residents.
Forsyth County, still today, one of the richest counties in North Atlanta. So if you want to know why Atlanta County, or whatever the county is that we know of Atlanta, thinking it's all so-called black people and populists and all you see on TV about Atlanta is colored people. Well, North Atlanta, Forsyth County, is where all the so-called white people are. That's where the white Richmond, Forsyth County. How did they get Forsyth County? How did they get this lake? Go ahead.
In September 1912, a white 18-year-old named May Crow was found injured after being assaulted in the woods less than a mile from her family's home.
Brakatha. Injured. Brakatha. Go ahead.
She later died from the wounds, despite the absence of witness.
What? No witnesses.
No witness or evidence. A 24-year-old black man, Raah Edwards, was arrested. Edwards was then taken from the county jail by a mob of white residents.
They just able to come get him out the jail. Somebody unlocked the door.
Let him out.
They came and got him. Go ahead.
Brutally beaten with crowbars, shot repeatedly, and dragged to the town square where his mutilated body was lynched. Additionally, Edwards' wife, Jane Daniel, their neighbor, Ed Collins, Jane's cousin, Oscar Daniel, and Oscar Daniel's cousin, Ernest Knox, were all arrested. Knox and Oscar Daniel, both teens, were convicted by all white jurors before being hung in front of about 5,000 spectators.
No witnesses. They killed all these people. And this is an article from back then saying troops on guard as 2 rapists are convicted. October the 2nd. I can't see the year right there. But they totally,
It just say special.
they totally went and just found some people, mutilated and hung them, lynched them in front of 5,000.
Mutilated their bodies.
spectators.
That mean they
Yeah,
cut off the.
And so everybody traveling to Lake Lanier now, they say Lake Lanier is haunted by the bodies of the black townspeople. So you go online and Lake Lanier, they're gonna look like they're having a good old time out here with all they boat houses. Look, let me go back. I saw this picture, I was like, oh man, this looks pretty cool. Look, all the boat houses, they probably out there drinking their beers, all their mansions, all they own it, they got it all. How they get it? They falsely accused these people of hurting their young girl, and they went in there and took it. Keep going, huh? Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, Zechariah 11:5.
Zechariah 11:5. So, the Negro, who everyone seems to want to kill and no one likes, whose enemies come and devour them whenever they want and say, who's going to be offended by it? They can't trace themselves. You can't trace yourself back to Noah, then you can't trace yourself to Adam. How the heck we even get here? If Adam is the progenitor of everybody, and we can't trace ourselves to Shem, Ham, or Japheth, how did the Negro get here? Now we got the Israelites, whose name is of no remembrance. They don't even know where their resting place is. Then we come and look at the oldest civilization on earth, the Moors or the Moors. You can't trace yourself back to them. Then we start looking at how tribes are just disappearing, and all we really taught in history books is about the 5 civilized tribes, but the federal government in North America recognizes 500 of them. You would sit in a board meeting and you would go in the comments like, Raah, he don't even know where he come from. He don't even know where his people are, what they are, where they come from. And no one cares to tie that together for us. You got to do it yourself. Is it not crazy that there's a whole Hebrew movement saying you're the lost tribes of Israel and you don't even know who you are here?
That's good.
Yeah, sure is.
Huh?
Sure is.
They tying you to every 12 tribe name, but you don't even know who you are here. And you can't even trace yourself back to Noah. So you don't have no lineage of the flood, but all of a sudden you know what 12 tribes you're from.
Come on now, make it plain.
And you can't sit in a boardroom, you call yourself African American, black, colored, this and that, and you don't even know where you from or what you from. Because Africans ain't saying you from Africa.
Nope.
And the Native Americans ain't saying, and they're not gonna let you on their reservation here. They're not gonna let you at their little casino here, or get their little stipend check here. The paper genocide or the Freeman Roll, Dawes Roll, all, you ain't connected to nothing.
All right.
Nor does anyone want you to be connected. And then when you started to become prosperous, they started to burn you out,
Yep.
burn your records,
Yep.
flood your cities.
Get money from the banks.
Now you think you got some civil rights, but you got civil rights as a color.
3/5.
You're not recognized even in voting. You still fighting to vote in a system that never wanted to include you.
Come on now, make it plain.
The people that call themselves Americans would call you anti-patriotic, and you're not patriotic, and you're not this and that because you don't go along with the program they submitted. Be a slave, be a descendant of a slave, and guess what? Pray to dear Lord Jesus.
Not at all.
If you don't pray to Jesus, and you say something bad against the flag or something against America, they're gonna go crazy on you.
Crazy.
But they won't help you find out who you are, because once you find out who you are, now you actually have rights.
They're claiming that.
Now you can actually have something to fight for and stand for.
Mhm.
Just like they fighting to be an American to keep you dumb and stupid.
Come on now, teach.
It doesn't profit them for you to not be lost,
That's right.
for your information to not be hidden,
Mm-hmm.
and for you to find the truth. The truth to set you free, but there clearly are people from every nation on the earth that don't want you to know who you are. They want whatever you invent. They want all your TikTok dances. They want your hairstyle. They want your lips, your butt. They want to dunk like you. They want to dress and wear Jordans and wear their Fila shoes and pop lock and then anything you make up, they're gonna take it.
Right? Yes, indeed.
But they won't allow you to be a nation.
That's right.
Have a flag, have rules and mottos and covenants. They don't want you to know who you are around the world.
Good.
They benefit off of us continuing to be lost and accept nothing but the history they give us. Zechariah 11:5. Zechariah chapter 11, verse 5. You got it out? You
Yes,
still up?
sir.
Zechariah 11, verse 5. We got that air blowing now, my boy. Hey, you feeling good, boy. Don't lean back. A couple more minutes. Zechariah 11:5. Go ahead.
Whose possessors slay them?
Is this not the same thing it said? They devour us and they say, who we offended? We got enemies, but we can't call out an enemy. Somebody gonna strike your page. They gonna send crazy comments. You know what I'm saying? No, you Pan-African. No, we ain't none of that.
None of
That's
that.
right.
All of that puts us in a box and has no benefits, has no recognition nationally. The UN don't recognize it. The world know you ain't that. We just playing symmetrical games. So it's good to devour you, literally, physically. It's good to come in and keep you into mental, spiritual captivity. So the possessors who are possessing us now, who cares less if we find out the truth? Go ahead, huh?
So whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty? And they that sell them say,
Who sells them say what?
Blessed be
We
He.
are blessed. Manifest destiny. God has given us. Jesus has allowed us to be the head. We are the head race. Jesus allowed us to come and conquer all these tribes. Jesus allowed you to have benefits. You should shut up and be blessed in Jesus' name.
No.
You're lucky you're alive now. Give praise to Jesus.
Nope.
All recognition, the whole religion of Christianity, the whole doctrine goes against the truth.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
It creates racial and discrimination disparities.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it do. That's right.
It was founded on it. It was spread by it. And the only people that are being blessed are the conquerors on top.
Come on now.
Who gonna hold us guilty? We blessed by the Most High. He's the reason we are rich. That's why we get to go to Lake Lanier, Lake Minnetonka, all these lakes, man. All these lakes near tribal land, flooding tribal land, brushing over burial grounds, destroying shrines. They've done it all over the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blessed be El, for I am rich. Go ahead.
And their own shepherds pity them not.
Ain't nobody gonna pity us. Y'all going to church every Sunday, man. Your teacher ain't gonna teach you nothing. He gonna teach you an Israelite. What benefit is that when somebody else is saying they Israelis?
Come on now, make it plain.
You can't call yourself an American because the Europeans, by definition, say they are American because they was born on this land. You can't say you're a Native American because that designation has been given to the Mongolians, angler-faced people. They're the ones that was been given the 5 civilized tribes and the right to be on the reservations, living in squander. Ain't no benefit to be anything but who you are. And guess what? Your possessor and your enemy and the people that benefit off of you not knowing ain't gonna help you find out who it is. They just gonna keep getting our people to create new doctrines and new religions to keep people in confusion, to keep everybody lost, hidden, and destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
This making any sense to anybody?
Yes, sir.
Forgotten souls. You are forgotten. Unless you want to remember. You are hidden unless you find out who your people are. You are destroyed unless you go back and get the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of El Elyon.
Mm-hmm.
We got lost tribes all over the world. People's whole culture has been stolen. You got lost scriptures nobody's even reading about. You know, they got lost scriptures and all of these say non-canonical. The Gospel of the Nazarenes, the Gospel of Peter, the Gospel of the Savior, the second treatise of the Great Set, the Acts of John, the Acts of Thomas, the third book of Corinthians, the Shepherd of Hermes. They got all these different books that the average student don't care to read.
Mm-hmm.
Lost tribes all over Africa. They just took Africa and just went in and made people go extinct. Same thing in the Americas, same thing in Asia. Anywhere colonizers want to colonize. Hidden heritage. The hidden heritage. The dual nature of the people of America. There was a people here building major heads, major pyramids and mounds before the migration from the Bering Straits. Let's put it like that. Nobody needs a culture to appropriate when you know you're the people of the earth.
Come on now, that's right.
You know you're indigenous to the land. You just got to keep reaching back and find it. When you find out you're a cow, and you'll find out you're this, and you'll find out you're that, now you'll find out your identity. And there's no need for anybody to sell you an identity that's far from you when it's right here. We just got to reconnect, right? We got to stop calling ourselves these misnomers, and we got to quit walking around like forgotten souls. I'm just an American. No. You know what the definition of American is? Which kind is you? You know what I mean? I'm an African American. Which is African? You American. I'm an Afro-American. Okay, where's your Afro?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a Pan-African. Well, when you going back?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What is the true history? If your people did come from Africa, you're going to know that.
Right.
If you're in the islands, you're in Brazil, you're going to know where your people trace from. And we already went and broke down that whole slavevoyage.com. We broke it down years ago, and we now what, the oceans of kinfolk. Now they talk about moving people from other parts of America to Louisiana. Or they trying to say you coming over from Africa. Come on, man. Tribes and millions of people were already here. What happened when they got here? They went to war. They started fighting and killing off people. We want to know the truth. The truth will set us free. We searching for true salvation. That's what we do here at the MOC. Hey, whether you like it, love it or not, it is what it is. Debunking, disputed, but here's the thing. The enemy to the truth is doctrine. And we know there's a lot of denominations and groups out here that teach their own doctrine, but if it don't line up with history and what we actually going through, sister and brother, is no good to you. The doctrine that makes you feel good is probably the one that's worse for you. And if you're reading these books and you learning and you ain't feeling uncomfortable, you ain't reading the right stuff. You're reading only things that make you feel good. You're using the Bible and you're only reading affirmations from it, right? You're into some spooky spiritualism where you only want to read about the good things, not the bad things.
Right.
And it is weird that through the Hebrew Israelite community, the majority of people are based in the 12 tribes chart where we can't even connect ourselves back to Noah. So if the Negro, if we all read, all Hebrews is reading Zondervan, and Ham is progenitor of dark race, and we dark, and we ain't related to him, maybe everything else is the stretch. Maybe we got to go back to before Zondervan and find out why the Negro is being excluded. Because maybe the Negro wasn't in the East. Maybe the Negro was in the West. And if the Negro was in the West, what was the Negro calling himself? Because we know they're going to go to every continent and say, that's an African.
Yeah.
That's an African. That's an Ethiopian. That's an Ethiopian. But all these words just are recognizing color. But we know that we are not the same people.
That's right.
Because he separated the language and he separated the people. You should know the truth. The truth will set you free. I pray you was edified by this lesson. Hope you learned something. Come back and join us next week on the Shabbat. Most El say the same. We'll see you then. We're going to go ahead, stand, and close out. Read 2 Maccabees chapter 1, starting at verse 24. And we'll conclude this Bible study lesson there. Go ahead. We don't have to repeat after. Just go ahead and read. I'll close this out.
All right. El Elyon, creator of all things, who are fearful and strong and righteous and merciful, and the only gracious King, the only giver of all things, the only just, almighty, and everlasting. Thou that deliverest Israel from all trouble, and didst choose the fathers and sanctify them. Receive this sacrifice for thy whole people Israel, and preserve thine own portion and sanctify it. Gather those together that are scattered from us. Deliver them that serve among the heathen. Look upon them that are despised and abhorred. And let the heathen know that thou art El Elyon. Punish them that oppress us, and with pride do us wrong. Plant thy people again in the holy place, as Moses has spoken.
Repeat after me. Barak El.
Barak El.
Barak El Elyon.
Barak El Elyon.
Barak El Shaddai.
Barak El Shaddai.
Halal El.
Halal El.
Halal El Elyon.
Halal El Elyon.
Halal El Shaddai.
Halal El Shaddai.
Sisters and brothers, you are dismissed. Thank you for joining us. Yah, the Most High El says the same. We'll see you next Shabbat. Shalom.
Shalom.